Hello everyone, good evening. Happy Wednesday. Thank you Magic for being first and for the resub for 9 months. Mwah, 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 mwah. Holy moly. Hello Citrona, hi Michaela. Thank you for hydrated stretches. I did hydrate just now. Let me go ahead and stretch my hands. I hope everyone's been well. Apologies for starting stream later than expected tonight. I was a little tired. I was just kind of like... gonna take an extra hour to just kind of rest for a moment. But we're here now. But my hands will be okay for tonight. But yes, happy Wednesday. If you don't know what we're doing tonight, for the month of November, we're doing community world building Wednesdays. So we're kind of like going back to the whole liminal space world building, and we're kind of gonna start iterating on that more. I've had like stuff written out and we had like that world building document and stuff, but now we're gonna like get down to it, and I don't really know what that's going to entail because I didn't really like think further in regards to what else a stream like this would entail. So we're going to find out together what we'll be doing. I don't know if we'll be doing like concept drawings or if we'll just be like typing stuff out and like writing up like a new document. But this is kind of like a community-ish effort in that we'll be kind of like building it up together, and this has been like something that hold on. Where's my wording? Give me a moment. So the specific world building that we're going to be kind of revamping, remastering is the VTuber one specifically, and that's more so the liminal space kind of whole deal and ordeal. So we'll be referencing the old documents and kind of refreshing everything, kind of looking everything over, seeing if there's anything we need to like update. So I think we're in the art category. I feel like there is a writing category. It's art. This is artistic creative, so it's fine. I know there's a writing category, but alas. This is a bit different because we're not like writing full-on stories or fanfics or anything. Anyway, we'll be refreshing the VTuber world building, specifically like the whole liminal space thing, kind of reviving things. We'll talk about some aspects more that'll be related to streams. So I have been like wanting to rename the points, channel points, for example, and I don't know if I'll get to that as we go through this kind of world building refresh. We'll see, but this is kind of more collaborative, so y'all lovely travelers, if you'd like to like pitch in and put in your ideas and feedback or suggestions, then we can do that, and we can see what vibes with me before I'm like or see what vibes with me, and then I'll be like, ooh, let's stick that into the like documents or whatever, you know. Yeah. And I hope y'all enjoy today's Clip Studio Paint meme image to start off the stream. Today's starter image is I literally I was like pulling up a meme image to have on Clip Studio, and I saw this like tiny thumbnail for this specific image, and I was like, oh, I don't like recognize the colors or the composition. What is this? It's this image that Mika shared with us that was like, hey, reminder that I'm one of those they, them. And honestly, it's like, yeah. You know, yeah, I love it. Good to have. I don't know if I should like plaster this somewhere onto the actual OBS overlays. It'd be really funny if I did, but I don't usually need to. I think people are pretty respectful for the most part whenever anyone new stops by or someone that isn't too well acquainted with our inn and our lovely dwellers here. And I think I have it plastered in enough places / I emphasize it enough in like raid welcomes, hopefully. If you haven't noticed, I've changed my wording very slightly every time I introduce myself to very specifically say I use they them pronouns only, please. And this isn't because of any specific like accidental misgendering incidents, if you're wondering. None of that has been really happening, but I am like just emphasizing that because I know nothing direct, but sometimes I do notice people will sometimes use terms that are to some extent inherently gendered, but many people, many individuals can and will use those terms in a gender neutral, non-gendered intention, which doesn't necessarily wash out the fact that the word inherently has gendered connotation, right? But like examples would be like saying like bro or like dude or like girl or like king, queen, you know. Well, I just set my mic on. But you know, kind of like it's hard to tell, especially if it comes from people that I'm not as well acquainted with. So then I'm kind of like, is this meant in / gender neutral, or is this / gendering / assuming gender of me, or assigning me to gender binary to be specific? So I'm like, I've been definitely a little more like open-eyed about it. And I guess this image popping up is kind of like, cool, awesome. How convenient that I could just maybe use this image or talk about this, because it's been like simmering in the back of my head that I've been like kind of like doing this and stressing this more. So it's like, you know. But yeah, I know nothing in particular stands out to me in regards to like any incidents or anything, but I do notice when the certain terms that do have a traditional gendered connotation pop up, and I'm kind of like, eep, like a bad eep, you know, like an icky, ew. And I don't want to be like a pest about asserting that sort of thing, but I guess it's more like, I'd like to encourage everyone here, including myself as I try to do this, to be mindful of the verbiage, of the diction, that choice of words that we use. And I think it's important to recognize if there are certain older connotations that make a word read more inappropriately or can be interpreted and misinterpreted depending on the circumstance. Yeah. I don't know if there's really anything else I could say. I don't want to be like too awkward about it, but I think just in general it's always good to be like open-minded and reflect on things, you know, reflect on words that we say, you know. Yeah, you know, it's very great that this image popped up and I accidentally opened it trying to look for a good image to use for Clip Studio. I might honestly, let me just Let me grab this image and stick it on here. Skeleton, NB skeleton. I mean, yeah, I guess gender-wise, I do have a lot to talk about, but I do want to try to focus on the world-building aspect. Anyway, where should I put this image? Like, this one is just kind of hard because it is kind of like big. I wish the text on this was like bigger, if I'm being kind of honest, but I can't really be picky with that. So maybe we'll just put it like here, behind me, behind my, oh no, that's covering it. I'm covering it with my VTuber. Here? Question mark. Maybe? I think it'll... Sure. I think it'll be fine. If anyone has any questions, they can always ask what the text says. Moil. Okay. We're going to not be using Clip Studio as a result. We are going to be using... Thank you. I was trying to drag this tab out to be a separate window on Firefox, and it took a hot moment to do that. I'm going to be opening up a Google document on Google Drive, and God forbids that goes sour and doxing happens, but I'm sure nothing weird will happen, question mark. Is this the current modern version? No, I think this is correct. I think this is the most modern lore document version. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna make a new document. I'm gonna have an empty document for us to reference. We're going to... Did I edit any? I'm gonna copy some of this. Hold on, I'm gonna copy some of this text to port over the formatting, because formatting consistency is one of my favorites, although this is pretty outdated for my current color branding. I will say. Okay, update normal text to match. Awesome. Okay. Beautiful. We're going to remove the text pages section. This is going to be the 2025 version. That's crazy. Okay, November 5. I'll just call this the lore book to make this easier for myself, and then I'm gonna let me open an archive. Make an archive so I can just archive some of these. You, get in there. This is Schmorpology. You, get archived. There's conlanging in here. Hold on, I'm gonna... I've got to archive the entire conlanging folder. Silly world building exercises. We're gonna archive this too. Okay. Hi Fish, you just wanted to pop and say hi. You can't stay long because you're very tired, and you just got into your dream university. Congrats on getting into your dream university. Thank you for sharing the good news. Congrats to you. And thank you for stopping by and saying hi, hello, goodbye. Have a good rest of your day/night. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna turn off chatting music so I can turn on Firefox. I do have YouTube music here. Go forth, calming music. I'm gonna play the next track. I have no idea what the volume. Ooh, okay. I think we're good. I think we're good. Hi Quinn, hello. Have a good night, fish. I give you 4 head kisses as you head to bed, mama. Hello, Quinn. Happy. I know time zones. Thursday. I don't know why I had to say it like that. Hello, happy Thursday. Hope you're doing well, Quinn. Have you been resting? Side eyes. Actually, no. I think the answer would be no, because I know y'all have still been trying to work on stuff, which makes me sad, and I will pout as a result of that. But I hope you've been well, at least. Okay, so we're gonna change window capture to this thing. Okay, awesome. Look, Firefox. Okay. I'm gonna zoom into 125 because I do want the text to be a little more visible on stream. Okay, hold on. We're gonna move the NB skeleton meme to the left. Just so it's maybe not covering as much. There we go. I guess I can shrink it a little more. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Y'all are doing your best to take it slow, as evidenced by the update being 2 weeks late. I'm gonna be honest, I like barely faintly remember y'all were like going to do one last hurrah update. Or it's either that or I thought y'all had done it already. Teehee, that means I had not been paying attention. I am silly and not been paying attention. But it is okay. If I was not working and I had all the free time in the world, then I probably would have noticed because I would be playing the Blank Sword demo a lot, along with catching up with like every other game that I have, like Persona and Final Fantasy, and the other Final Fantasy that I have, and Assassin's Creed. I even a lot. Anyway, yeah. But I'm glad y'all are taking your time. Makes me happy to hear. Hi, Chimpy. Hello. Happy Wednesday/Thursday to you. I guess y'all are wondering what we're doing. This month we're focusing on world building writing, specifically my VTuber world building. We're gonna like refresh it and revamp, and we're gonna let the community kind of build into it too. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. It's going to be interesting because we'll see what I need to remove because I'm looking at this. So I've had a world building kind of document for the VTuber lore specifically that has been around since like I first started, but it's been very on and off, and I've kind of been ignoring it for my actual personal world building. So to revive this, what we're doing is I need to start introducing the 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 mechanics, the paradigms, the world building. What is the term I'm looking for? Uh, Hold on. Firefox. Hide. I'm gonna pull up apps diagram that might up. App dot diagrams? Diagrams? .net, not .io. Haha, JK, I'm silly. New diagram. Just make a blank one. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, return Firefox. Okay. Everyone stay with me. So we're going to make 2 circles. This is for principal purposes. Can I turn off the fail? Perfect. Okay. We're going to make another circle and make sure they kind of align. Ugh. Ugh. Okay, I'm gonna recopy the circle because I did a bad job at like stuff. Okay. Align. Thank you. Okay. Oh my god, it's the ghost from Mother 3. Okay, Lazard was one of their emotes? I didn't know that. Anyway, okay. Suit Bonnie. All versions of Soot Bonnie. Okay, everyone stay with me here. So this is to explain that there are multiple versions of me. There are alternate reality versions of me depending on what world building we're talking about. And we're going to use that as the way to compartmentalize the different world buildings slash lores that I will ever talk about from here on. And now that I'm putting this onto diagrams, I feel like this is going to get confusing. So hang in there. Maybe we don't need the circles just yet. Maybe we just need rounded rectangles. I love a good rounded rectangle. A squircle. So let's start here. Wow. The round corner. Oh, you can. Oh my. Sorry. Okay. Here is rounded corner. Am I not sizing this correctly? Please. Please. Okay. Thank you. Please be nice to me. Okay. So Squircle. So let's start with the most meta version of the world building layers, which is the writer's void. How do I just add text? The writer's void. Or the writer's workshop. Okay. Everyone with me so far? This is going to be a hell of a ride. Okay, so we're going to make this 24 pixels. This is the master layer to all world building. The writer's workshop is a void. It is the void in which a master copy of myself exists and exists solely to as a god or omnipotent, omniscient being, whatever choice you'd like to make or wording you'd like to use. Omnipotent being that is in charge of writing all the contained world buildings within this bubble. It is very important. So now I can pull into circles that should not have a fill on them. Okay, awesome. Okay, so now we're going to do a Venn diagram. Okay, I'm going to make the circles bigger, actually. I kind of need it to be a little bigger. Oh, okay, dude. Okay. We're fine, we're fine, we're fine. Okay. I'm actually going to shrink the circle for, like, good reason. Keep moving the circles by accident, please. Be nice to me. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. Already centered. Yeah, they are now. Okay, cool. Okay. Copy text. Thank you. This is the VTuber in brackets. This is a lonely inn in liminal space. Okay, I need to expand this clearly. How do I? Oh my god. Okay. This bigger circle represents the VTuber specific world building, which is what we're working on this month. I don't know what else to say here. I think I should just put down the labels and then we can talk more. Over here, this smaller circle. Story is previously known as Psycho Shuffle. Oh my god, please. Can I change the text sizing? Cool, awesome, very good. Okay. Oh, oh. Okay. Okay, maybe I'll shrink the circle a little bit. Just a smidge, just a smidge. Okay. Okay. Hi, Milo. Hello. I will hydrate. I will save eventually. Hold on. I am getting into formatting hell. Get no, no, no. Purple. Okay, cool. Get formatted. Sorry, me and my formatting. Haha. Oh my lord. 32 pixels is too big of a font size. 27. Okay. So world building wise. So technically, every time we are on stream, for now, we are in this section, this circle. Maybe I should add color. Hold on. Solid? Matching? You cannot see anything there. Okay, hold on. Oh, sorry, I haven't played around with some of these other formatting features before, so this is like exciting for me. Okay, then we'll use this coloration. Okay. But I wanted to like I hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Solid. We're going to reduce the opacity. Solid 30%. Okay, there we go. Orange and pink circles. Okay. So anytime we're on stream, we're in the pink circle. That is the VTuber lore and world. I feel like I've once a long time ago said that my VTuber lore is partially non-canon. You should remember this as true, but you should also never believe anything I say. But that is a very general good guide. We generally exist in the pink circle where we are observing the rules of the world building and lore in the VTuber specific section. That is the pink circle. However, you have seen me make characters and talk and blabber and yap about personal world building that I have done. That is, it looks brown on this. Let's make the color nicer. Hold on, besties. I mean, it looks orange now. In the orange circle is the personal world building I talk about. This is separate, but is relevant for different reasons. that are not usually applicable to stream, except for when I yap about it. And the intersection of the Venn diagram is where things are relevant, and there's only like I'm pretty sure there should only be like one relevant thing in here. Okay, so let me put in text. So Bonnie's OCs dot dot dot. Okay. I don't know how I okay, so the layering, the reason why I have shapes intersecting and being contained in one another, I exist as the writer that manipulates and creates all of these stories and world buildings. There's only two. The gods forbid there are more. um, although if you really want to get technical about it, any fandom that I have made an OC or Sona for would go inside the writer's workshop rounded square. But we're not going to do that because that'll really complicate what I'm trying to explain here. um, there are two main worlds that I have created, the VTuber one and then the personal one. And I would probably like to find a different wording instead of personal. My passion world building, my passion project that does not have an end goal because the point is not to have an end goal. So there's my VTuber lore, VTuber world, and then there's the passion project world. These are two separate worlds with very distinct stories. And despite this diagram is not to scale. There are some things that intersect, and there are normal layman terms that would also explain this in better formats. The biggest thing, aside from me existing everywhere in all iterations of world building and whatnot, are my OCs. I have 3 OCs right now, and those 3 OCs specifically that I have created were originally intended to kind of be for the VTuber lore / also be for the personal world building. But this was originally when the circle was more like this, and there was a lot more overlap in regards to world building elements, like the existence of certain supernatural phenomena and like structures of things and stories and backstories were more shared between the two, but now they're more distinct. And honestly, the amount of intersection between each should be like even smaller, if I'm being honest. And if we're being accurate to size, then the orange circle should be bigger. But anyway, I'll just do that right now. Actually, how do I hold on? Okay, we're shifting. We're shifting. Everything's shifting. Everything's shifting. Everything's shifting. Okay. 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 Well, now I have to size this up again. Oh, my labels. Okay, we're fine. Okay. And here's the intersection. Okay. To be fully accurate, if we're continuing the idea that the VTuber story, the VTuber circle, is half non-canon, then that implies that my OCs, their main universe, is the Psycho Shuffle story passion project universe, which means that the versions of them that exist in the VTuber lore are AU versions. I hope that explains. Is everyone following along? Does this make sense? This is really it's not that complicated, but this is a little finicky. Fortunately, there's not much else happening in this, so we don't need to worry. But does this make sense? This does look nicer with a fill on it. Here, we'll also put actually I'll just add more text and it'll just be like regular size. It'll be like considered half non-canon. And then we'll rename this to Passion Project. Okay. Okay. I can make this text a little bigger. Okay. Cool. This is how the world building blobs look like. And we're gonna hope, God forbid, that there are other circles that appear inside of this squircle. But this is essentially the way to explain it. Actually, no, incorrect. There is there is one more layer that is missing. Hold on. We have to make another squircle. Oh, not that. Not you. Not you. You. Okay. I'm gonna have to move this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here. I'm going to expand you to here. I'm going to send you all the way to the back. And decrease your rounding because you do not need to be that rounded. And then we're going to expand this square even more. What am I doing? Bonnie in real life. Okay. Okay, I actually had to zoom out for this now because of how I happened to look this up. Okay. So there is me in real life. And within my circle of what is real life, there is the writer's workshop where I exist as a smaller entity that specifically writes these worlds into existence. And within that void, within which worlds are written into existence, I have two main ones, which are the VTuber specific one, which is half non-canon, and then my passion project that I have blabbered about and yapped about over like 2 or 3 years that has been constantly metamorphosizing. And that is how I would like y'all to remember, or the general the general guidelines by which I hope y'all can remember how these worlds are viewed. And if this ever gets any more complicated, we can always come back to this diagram to iterate more. But um this is just about pretty fully as explanatory as I think it can get. Oh, don't make an arrow. Actually, I feel like I can shrink this, right? Because if I don't even have that much, you just kind of like, why did I make this so big and obnoxious? Like, really now? Okay. Can I go back to 100? Yeah, basically. Okay. Of relevance. Does this mean there are 4 versions of me? Actually, no, it does not. There's only 3 versions of me. The Bonnie in real life and the Writer's Workshop Bonnie are the same entity. But that entity is separate from the entity that exists in the pink circle, which half is the same but half different from the Bonnie entity that exists in the orange circle because of AU shenanigans. Okay, there we go. I'm going to save this on my I'm going to download this. Bonnie's world building layers. Thank you, Tree of Life, Yggdrasil, however else you want to call this. Welcome back. Okay, so now that we have that explained, we're gonna focus over here where it says the VTuber lore. We're going into the half non-canon section of everything. That is what we will be focusing on. Again, the intersection between these two worlds is now a lot smaller, and I'm going to try to respect that as much as possible. Because there are two very distinct things that I think each world will be exploring. And I can't believe I yapped for like a solid 10 minutes about that, I think. Let's step over here. So we have a lot of like entries to go through. So we're kind of just gonna like copy everything over, but we're also gonna kind of like see if there's anything in here that I hate that we need to like rewrite. So that's kind of like the focus, right? So what I'm gonna do is under page setup, I'm going to change the background color to like this red. So I remember that this is not the correct version every time we go back and forth. So we're gonna select all of these and we're gonna go over here, paste them. We're gonna do some reading together. We're gonna start rewriting. Again, of relevance, if y'all have anything you'd like to suggest or add, or you think should be vetoed and nixed, this is the time. I know there's going to be a lot already in just this 100 section that's going to be next, because this is specifically talking about like the progenitor. Also, wow, look at all the people who helped unlock these entries. We're going to erase your credits now because we're rewriting everything. And some of these sections may be entirely deleted, but thank you everyone who participated with these rewards in the end. They're very fun. So progenitor. The out of bounds is correct. This liminal space, the collection of liminal spaces is called the out of bounds. We're gonna stick with that. Our progenitor reached a critical point in their unusual condition by the time they fell into the out of bounds. Their psyche split in half, creating two distinct entities, the superego and the id. Let me add the. The superego inherited the anthropological Hume physiology of the progenitor, now referred to as Smokey. The id, retaining only the progenitor's subconscious and fire aspiration, forged a new sentience and fireborn-like body as Bonnie. Our soma, or physical body, morphs based on which entity is more dominant. We involuntarily morph between human fireborn forms depending on our mental state. Our personality shows noticeable differences based on what form they're in. Smokey is predominantly what form we're in. I'm talking in first person here. Smokey is predominantly reserved and methodical, while Bonnie is bluntly excitable and emotional. Our two minds have proper internal conversations but can also think individually, allowing us to process two things simultaneously. It is thought that the ego, from Freud's psychoanalytic theory, if you didn't get that idea already, is thus the final product of our interaction manifesting in the soma, rather than a third entity of the psyche as would be expected. So first of all, we're going to change the fact that it says human, change that to human. Species have been renamed in both of the stories, and we're going to use normal human in this specific universe. You can also see that this refers to aspiration. We are going to take out aspiration because that is referring to a very, very old world building iteration of the magic system. And I think we're just going to use regular magic in this world. Maybe? Question. Okay, solo control. When the progenitor's id develops sentience, they are still synchronized with the superego. Even when the id is in control, the superego is still active. It is comparable to the id driving the car instead, while the superego sits in the passenger seat. So what happens if the superego is suddenly knocked out, temporarily desynchronizing the two entities? We hypothesized that the id could fully control the soma, which has been proven to be true in a few rare cases. Sure. 103 talks about fireborns. We are going to immediately kill off 103C because that was specifically relevant to the Passion Project universe. The physiology section can stay. Da, 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 da. Sure, in this universe, we will say that fireborns are born from magic. In our Passion Project universe, that has been heavily altered. That fireborn are not a typical species that appear. We do have to adjust some things in here, so this keeps using some old magic system terms like starbase, aspiration, and stuff, so we're going to switch this all to magic. Due to the progenitor's fire magic, artificial fireborn. Cool, very good. The fireborn is a creature born from pure fire magic. Referred to in other literature as the fire elemental, fire spirit, and salamander. Da, 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 da. Many of them also died due to an innate inspiration born from their base wish of continuing to burn. Due to an innate instinct, due to an instinct that urges them to continue burning. Thus, many fireborn simply overheat and destroy their bodies internally. Which means that we would actually have to do writing references for elemental spirits. Because originally, when this was written for the first time, that meant that there would be fireborn, airborne, waterborne, and earthborne, I believe. So all four types representing the classical elements. So I would have to write those into existence as well for this specific universe of world building, which would be fun. Wouldn't that be fun, everyone? But we'll get there eventually. I think that clears the room for everything in that. So we're going to do number 200. This is actually all of the like liminal space related shit. So this is probably like the most relevant stuff. Okay, let's see. Section 200 is about the out of bounds. Specific magic that operates within the out of bounds. We fear that the anomalous phenomena that occur in this pocket dimension are unique and thus distinct from our own original universe despite the many similarities. I don't know if I like that wording. The implication of that wording is that people are aware of their original dimensions, which is the kind of the point, but I'm also like, should we keep that? Should we keep that? I think we should be keeping it in the form of like, this is no longer, or it's like, I think we should keep it in the form of, I don't know how to word it, in the form of, Because the original implication would be that I remember that my original universe would be the passion project universe, but because we're trying to have some amount of separation for that, and this would be considered a full alternate universe sort of deal, it should be that my quote unquote original universe in the setting is not the passion project universe, and thus a separate universe within the VTuber lore universe, which is scary to think about actually, and I'm actually confusing myself just thinking about that. um, but yes, I think that is like how I'd explain that probably. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so what is the out of bounds? The inn and the forest are contained in a single liminal space. The total collection of liminal spaces make up what is known as the out of bounds, a dimension parallel to real space. To the fabric of reality. For ease of reference, the original universes that all transients, because that would be the term for anyone that arrives in the out of bounds, who obviously does not originate from the out of bounds. The original universes that transients come from may be referred to as real spaces. Mysteriously enough, this dimension connects multiple universes and can call upon anyone from those many universes. This is mainly cumbersome due to the constant culture shock both our concierge members and travelers experience. Yeah, I mean, that should be accurate enough for me, personally speaking. Hey, hold on, folks. I'm just checking something. Okay, let's continue. The Left Eye Manor Inn offers lodging for registered travelers. This breakfast and okay. Travelers are tethered to the inn in the plain. The forest exhibits non-Euclidean. Yes, okay. Interdimensional travel sickness. Yes. Interdimensional dysbiosis. How fun that I literally put this in. I put this idea in, I think, because I played South Scrimshaw, I believe it was called. Let me check. South Scrimshaw. I wonder when part 2 will come out. But South Scrimshaw, which is a visual novel, an interactive nature documentary um, of a fictional exoplanetary ecosystem, specifically a particular member of a underwater species. It's very cool. But they talk about interplanetary dysbiosis in there, so that's why we have this. Why are people kidnapped to liminal space? Yes. Seems almost alive from the magic contained within. Its sole purpose likely a therapy session, quote unquote, to help transients move on to the next stage in their lives. This is correct. If you didn't know, that was like the whole point of me doing the liminal space world building. It's not just because I like liminal spaces, but I think the idea, um, I think the big idea is that a lot of us will have already and will continue to go through phases of transition in our life. Liminality covers a lot of different things, and that can be both liminal spaces, of course. But when people talk about liminal spaces, especially on the internet, they don't consider liminal spaces in the actual frame of liminality, which is actually a space that provides transition between two locations. Or a way to think about it is a liminal space in the strict proper sense should be a space that is strictly used just for transitioning between two more permanent locations. So an airport would be a liminal space because airports, bus stops as well, train depots, train stations are used as places where you're taking transportation to go from one stop to a different stop, which also makes airplanes and forms of transportation liminal to some extent because they are not meant to be permanent stages, phases for you to remain in. They are temporary for you to be. They're kind of like temporary and are also the vehicle, quite literally in this case, for you to complete this transition from stage A to stage B. And of course, with any sort of liminality thing, there are always exceptions to the rules. So in this case, if you're homeless, then if you're homeless, for example, then a car would not be something liminal to you in comparison. And likewise, a hotel and an inn, a hotel, a motel, and inn would be liminal spaces if you're someone who's renting out a room for like a few nights. And the reason why I bring this up is because conversely, for me and our concierge members who work at the inn, the hotel, the inn is not a liminal space because it is a more long-standing thing, a long-term thing that exists as a big portion of our lives. It is not a temporary thing, although you could try to argue something about job security and blah 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 if this job is going to stay or not. But this is, for the most part, if this is more meant to be a long-term job, and thus for us as concierge members, the inns and hotels, us working at the Left Eye Manor Inn, this hotel does not have liminal quality to us compared to some of y'all who would be visiting as guests, as travelers to our inn. It would instead have liminal quality for you, unless for some reason you decided to live here permanently and dwell in like our attic or like our basement permanently, in which case the inn/hotel would then lose its liminal quality because you for some reason decided to squat inside of our lovely hotel and inn, which does have many, many rooms, thanks to non-Euclidean shenanigans. Please do not do that. um, but yes, so that is how liminal spaces should work in the strictest sense. So hallways are a good example of both internet culture liminal spaces and an accurate portrayal of liminal spaces because hallways are meant to be just used as transitional physical spaces from one room to another room, whether that's in like a house or in any building that you go through. Um, in the same way, doors and gates are also liminal in quality because they represent quite a plane of transition between one room and another. Um, and so the reason why liminality as a concept exists is because there's this concept of being stuck between stage A and stage B. So you could be stuck at a train station waiting for the train to arrive, or maybe a train broke down while you were on it. You're stuck maybe about to leave stage A, or you're stuck between stage A and stage B. You are stuck in what is the liminal aspect of that thing exhibiting liminal quality. Outside of liminal spaces, this can also apply to the way we grow up. Whenever we go through puberty or we graduate from something, graduation is us going from stage A, not being graduates, being students, to stage B, which is having graduated already. And the liminal stage, which is the in between, would be going through the ceremony and it doesn't get completed or something. Or we're in the period where maybe we're waiting for the ceremony because the ceremony is the final part that allows us to get to stage B of getting our diploma and graduating. Um, Liminality also can apply to more a bit less concrete concepts. So the idea of gender queerness and just queerness and sexuality and gender identity, being transgender, non-binary. Um, these concepts can also inherently have liminal quality to them. If you consider the frame of being non-binary or being transgender as being between two states, especially two states that are expected to be permanent, not permanent in like locality like you would expect for liminal spaces, but permanent in the way um that society hunkers them down as like the norm of the gender binary, right? Um so being any sort of like non-binary, third gender, transgender, intersex, any of that sort, lends you a sort of inherent liminal quality because of that. Um, so bringing it back to here, my VTuber lore and liminal spaces focuses on the idea that sometimes we're trying to get to new stages in our life and we kind of get stuck. We get stuck at this point where maybe we aren't ready to even start moving on from stage A into stage B, or maybe we're trying to move on from stage A, but we're kind of stuck and we're kind of, lost for a moment before we get to stage B. So the biggest thing about this world building, about the VTuber lore, is that I want us to be able to kind of like remember that there are places that we can go to kind of relax, to kind of recenter ourselves, to reground ourselves in the reality that we're in, or remember where we are in the reality that we came from. And then once we're ready, talk about it, share our thoughts, our experiences, prepare ourselves to go back to real space so we can finish our transition and move forward. That sort of thing. So, in a way, I guess, kind of for me, it's this sort of aspect of streaming is for us to share stories and experiences, whether that's real life experiences, talk about indie games and the stories and the themes they portray. Um, Take those concepts, take these lessons that they teach us, take them with us back into our original real spaces to help us move forward with things. I think that's kind of the biggest thing about it. Um, I haven't talked about the deeper meaning behind the VTuber world building in like a hot while too. But if you've been wondering what the whole liminal space thing is about, well, that is your answer. um, and in a way, me being non-binary gender and also having the concept of having two separate entities exist in one body, um, is kind of representing liminality in different aspects, that sort of thing. Both in regards to me talking about gender queerness being inherently liminal, and in regards to species wise, the idea of like um, me viewing myself kind of like with a transhumanist lens, I guess, which is inherently tied to my gender queerness. If we talk about things like xenogender and what I view myself as in regards to like what is human, what is not human, what really constitutes humanity and whatnot. But I don't want to get too deep into that necessarily right now, although I have seen a video game as of late that I would love to play that explores transhumanist themes a bit, but not right now. But yeah. So I don't know if I should keep this wording as kidnapped back into like the writing aspect of this more so than it draws people in, I think. I think this is fine for now. So 205 talks about liminal space exploration. It should be space, not plane, because plane might have been a previous term that we used. So crowns, as we will get to later, will not exist. That is specifically for the Passion Project world. We're going to remove it. So exploring other liminal spaces is not recommended due to the likelihood of rifts between spaces spontaneously closing. I recently have been rewatching World Trigger and roping Citrona into it, and the idea of World Trigger is that the world of Japan, there are other places, planets, basically nations in this space called the neighborhood. I mean, it's kind of the same concept that I have envisioned for liminals for the out of bounds, where it's kind of like outer space, and there are individual little like quote unquote planets which represent the liminal spaces floating and orbiting around, so they can like get closer to another space and get farther away. That sometimes those spaces can overlap for a moment and then fully disconnect. Put together a rudimentary mapping of the out of bounds and its liminal spaces. We're not sure yet how to label the spaces we've seen so far. So I only have 4 officially listed here: the forest, caverns, office hallways, and indoor pools. Still researching how to open a rift. Okay, this is expedition data for a maple forest. This one I think is more like, this specific 206 is kind of like extra like, what's the wording? Flavor. Let's read it. This disk of expedition data appears to be damaged and lacks quite a bit of metadata. Today, Chanrit accompanied us to a temporary rift that opened somewhere near the inn. The new chef hire stayed back at the inn to handle the lunch rush, so we had Gingham operate as our navigator for the time being. Astrolabe is also an old term. No wonder our travelers wouldn't have noticed anything going through the rift. The liminal space that's currently intersecting with ours is a maple forest with many maple trees. Must be sent in an autumnal season. Given the burning bright colors of the leaves, Gingham sounded disappointed when we told him over radio. Seems he would have liked it to be a different season to make maple syrup. There's a windstorm. Nothing about crown should be mentioned. Must be another phenomenon of the out of bounds and tornadoes. Actually, I guess we can update this to have the maple forest. Let's actually put it with this one. I think the forest of our current setting is meant to be an oak forest. I think it's oak and birch, because birch trees have those nice eye appearances, in which case aspen would also be like a good choice. So oak, aspen, and birch trees. Wow, Seribot is on a roll. Good bot. Yes, I think this is good. Okay, awesome. We're gonna have a lot of sections to go through. Gonna take us a while. Not really that many. Okay. Of importance. Um, for the whole crowns idea, one big thing that I am adjusting for this world building. So there will be fauna and flora, because that's the next section. But bigger thing is that, how should I explain this? I want to take out the idea of there being hostile entities specifically for this universe. I like liminal spaces without the idea of hostile monsters and entities chasing you. There should be random creatures and stuff that live in these liminal spaces, but I don't want there to be like a major like monster or anything that, or like hostile species like the crowns that exists in the world. So that is one no, one rule that I am going to put down as we kind of work on world building stuff, is that that should not exist for this. But hi Arson, thank you for stopping by. Arson said they can't hear me, so I will do hello. Thank you for stopping by, Arson. And I'll drink some water. Oh, hello, roast blood. Okay, I'll just drink more water, I guess. Oh, I guess that works for me. Thank you. But I hope y'all are having a good week. Hello. We're doing some world building writing, and by writing, we're mostly just rewriting some stuff. So we're having a good time. Okay, so 700, we are going to completely ignore the existence of section 700 because none of this will be included anymore. As I said, because all of this section 700 was originally part of the Passion Project universe. One, it is severely outdated. Two, we're trying to fully separate. So this section 700 will be fully nixed. What we can do, I think we can keep section 800. I think section 800 is like just little stories and stuff that I've written about me, some of our travelers, some of our lovely friendos here, some of our OCs that I have. I have to double check this because if there's anything here that references stuff that we are removing, then we might have to nix stuff. Oh god, I remember the clam chowder incident at least. That one is going to be fun. Let's start with this transcript of a tape recording. I think what we'll do for the biggest part of today's world building is that since I want to make this like a normal magic system, because I think normal elemental magic would be very fun, I think I would love to try to establish a magic system for the VTuber liminal space universe. So let's see how that'll go. Because I've done a lot of magic system writing and revising over the years. So we're going to see what I'd like to put for this. Thank you, Arson, for stretchies. We'll probably come back to this because this one does reference Foresight, which is a magical ability. I would like to say sometimes I use magic to mean a generic magical ability, supernatural ability. In this specific framework, it probably does refer to the magic that exists in this world building, but we'll have to see if I want to keep that in because that is like, we'll see. Thank you for getting your stampy. Okay, so 802 is the clam chowder incident, and I'm gonna read this out because this one's really funny. Last week we had an unusual incident, to word it nicely. It happened during the week in the morning. We had one traveler lodged at the moment, and they were having a simple breakfast of sunny side up eggs with bacon. They suddenly remarked that their bacon tasted like clam chowder, after which they realized the rest of their eggs also tasted like clam chowder. Coincidentally, around the same time, we were assisting Chanrit in the garden. Chanrit's note, Bonnie was lounging in the hammock and only watching. Our sip of water tasted faintly off, and Chanrit's cup of orange juice suddenly also tasted like clam chowder. For a few hours, everything we drank or ate tasted like clam chowder. By the time lunch rolled around, we made a stew-like dish hastily that had the texture of clam chowder. We were getting sick of crunching and chewing things, giving us that texture mismatch with the clam chowder taste to be fully transparent. The ingredients we used in that stew were obviously edible, but they were ingredients that maybe didn't go well together. A bunch of cornstarch and chicken broth, overboiled radishes, soft tofu blocks, dried raisins, hastily chopped up intestines, we think. Guess when the clam chowder flavor phenomenon decided to randomly stop. Hello, Citrona. We're slowly winning. We're slowly like porting everything over from the old world building book and kind of revive. Oh, burping? Burping? Revising anything that needs to be removed. We're working with a few principles right now. Um, I don't know if you saw this lovely diagram, but this diagram explains all the iterations of Bonnie along with the two, because fortunately we only have two universes slash world buildings that we're writing. So there's Bonnie. So again, to quickly summarize for Citrona, we have two pieces of stories of worlds that we are writing, which is the VTuber lore, and then there's the Passion Project one, which keeps changing. Our goal is to, as we do the rewriting for the VTuber lore, because that's the focus for this month for these community world building streams, the milestone, is to rewrite the VTuber lore, world building specifically, while also shrinking the intersection that exists between Passion Project and the VTuber world universe. Blah, blah, blah. um, the biggest things that I'm kind of doing is we're taking out any references to the Passion Project universe, even if it's outdated. So anything that references the older terms we've used for the magic system, anything about crowns has to be erased because the other thing is that we don't want there to be quote unquote hostile entities. Of note, if we're in a forest, and in a forest would be bears, a bear would be considered a hostile entity, but in that case, that is normal and that is okay. What is not okay is creepy ink monster that exists solely in the liminal spaces to be the horror entity. That is not what we want to do. We want to have like natural ecosystems of the liminal spaces maybe, but we're not trying to have like the horror entity aspect because that's definitely not like my vibe. I've mentioned it before, and I definitely want to like separate that because the reason why crowns existed in intersection with the VTuber universe was just because that was from the intersection of the Passion Project into this. With separation now, we're trying to kind of take that away. But yeah, I am going to delete this one, even though I like the intense yaoi that's happening in this one, but we're gonna delete this because it says reference the crown, and we can't have that be on here. So we're gonna go to what is the new 803, which is stuck in the pantry incident report. Hey, this is one of my first times writing one of these. I'm still getting used to the formality needed for the shit. Anyway, that one returning visitor that's a friend of Bonnie's, Citral Cinder. Their name is Citrona, I just remembered. Anyway, that weirdo thought it'd be funny to see if they could like squeeze into one of the pantry cupboards in the kitchen and jumpscare Bonnie. Well, their jumpscare got cut short when they realized they were kind of stuck in there. I think Bonnie was berating them for a solid 10 minutes. I don't remember because I was laughing my tail off. They had to call a chef who was doing an emergency shopping trip and ask her to pick up butter or some other lubricant. Bonnie was grumbling the entire time. I'm not sure if this needs to be included or not in the report, but it was really nice to spectate Bonnie's hard shell being cracked open. Bonnie set down a bowl of water for Citrona to sip water from, except it was really awkward, and I think Citrona lapped it up like a pet. And Bonnie sat down next to the cupboard the entire time while they waited for the chef to return. They care a lot more than they make it seem, and I'm going to quickly finish up this report now before Bonnie sees what I wrote and tries to singe my fur. So if we ever get around to doing more community world building streams, I'd love to write more little short, brief incident reports like this that incorporate some of our long-term returning travelers like y'all. Here we have another one that talks about Bones and Mika. This one's pretty fun. What are you doing, Steps and Jonah? Oh, shut up. Gods. The following is a video cassette. The film appears to be discarded footage that is crudely cropped out from an earlier recording. So what is this again for the camcorder, please? So this is a missile launcher. It's a weapon of war back in my universe. Oh, I thought you said mashed potato launcher. Anyway, this sounds dangerous. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. Got my hands on this somehow through my company's database files. Here, let's get a missile launched right away. It should be aimed at Bones if this program is correct, and if Bones is staying put at the target. Wait, so this is where the missile comes out from? Bonnie, do not put your arm in front of the... A billowing blanket of smoke covers the camcorder's vision. It clears slowly, and you can make out Mika's drone hovering over Bonnie's body on the ground. Bonnie, are you awake? Hello. I think I'm alright. Bonnie, your arm got ripped off. Oh. Well, that'll take a lot longer to heal than when I broke my arm jumping down a hole in the inn. Mika's monitors and radars are beeping. Oh, the missile made contact. That was a fun one to write. This one does reference specifically that Fireborns would be able to regenerate their body, and we are going to keep it here because since this is the alternate universe, I will keep that as relevant for this specific universe. So it'll stay there. Also, I don't remember if I did my stretchies because Arson redeemed stretchies. So I'm going to quickly do figure eights with my hands. Boop, 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 boop. Wow, Vogue, Vogue, Vogue. Okay. I think that's it for section 800. 900 is like not as relevant, so we can ignore it for now. 700 we can ignore. Section 300 is fine. We're going to skip section 300 really quick though. And we're going to go into section 400 because I'd like for us to do some writing together. So I hope everyone has their thinking caps on. There exists a pungent magic that permeates the out of bounds and permits some unusual phenomena, not unlike the magic and superpowers we've seen in comic books and TV shows from our original universe. The following are our understandings of the magic here. ... 401. Let's start. All you have is your blinking cap at the moment. Does that work? Sure. I guess you can just blink blanc. I suppose blink blanking in this case will suffice. Okay, y'all. What magic system should we do for this? I was thinking a basic elemental magic system would be okay. I am wondering if we should touch on something that makes the magic system more personal for each person that is in liminal space, if that makes sense. For example, I have fire magic, and that's kind of relevant to my Sona because fire is also an element that I deeply resonate with. And I also think about how Citrona made like a liminal space Sona way back like during my first year as Bonnie on Twitch. Um, so we could also do something of like magic takes a particular, maybe a particular element and manifestation of that element based on the individual. We could also, instead of starting straight at how there are unique magic powers, we could also start with like the magic that permeates the out of bounds, like the magic that works around the space before we talk about kind of the way we can directly affect it, if that makes sense. What's in the environment before what a person can do to kind of like broaden and kind of start working more closer towards what the foundations or what we would theorize the foundations of the magic system to be. Um, so we could start there. No thoughts, head shark. So, okay, so the magical elements that would continue to exist, one thing that the inn does is that whenever everyone like registers as a traveler here, what specifically happens in this universe is that everyone is kind of magically tethered. So we're one able to keep track of everyone in case someone wanders off into a different liminal space and gets trapped. Um, actually, that's like the only reason why, really. um, but that uses a form of magic. Um, are there other? I'm trying to think. If we did personal powers, that would imply that the magic system perhaps is something akin to a reality altering magic system. Like it's based on the principles of altering reality itself. And I think of something like a certain magical index slash a certain scientific railgun, where psychics or espers have their specific psychic science powers because they're emitting an aura that kind of brings their personal reality to life, which gives them the psychic powers that they can use. Reality altering, essentially. So, in having liminal spaces that take from things that people generally view as liminal and create weird phenomena that should not normally happen, I would think that we could consider a reality altering lens for the magic, but we have to be very careful on the boundaries and limitations that are figuring out. We have to figure out boundaries and limitations because something like that can get very carried away without the proper limitations, I think. It could be an alternatively a system that works purely from belief. Like if we at if we ask the concierge to spread the belief that by registering with us, you will receive protection to not fall into other liminal spaces. And because we've registered enough people that the belief has a large enough population relatively, then reality has been altered. The metaphysical fabric of reality locally has been adjusted to account for this belief, this rumor, this piece of gossip, which is also dangerous because you have to consider what would happen if a big rumor is spread and a lot of people believe it. For example, if Citrona spread the rumor that skeletons smell like farts, and the rumor spread really far and wide across, for some reason, maybe if we had a lot of travelers at the inn that week, perhaps that would be sufficient for the metaphysical fabric locally to shift, which would then make someone like Bones smell like poo poo because the rumor exists. You thought that was canon. That would only be, it's not that it's canon, that was more like a reasoning I came up with for Bones to be able to poop and pee, and also if to answer if as a side effect as what would happen if his bone marrow was active. Thank you very much. Hmm. Maybe I just had an idea. Maybe the magic system should inherently, maybe the magic system should be something that focuses on the idea, the principles of self-preservation. This is definitely where I'm going to need y'all to like help me build up my thoughts, but I'm thinking like, so the idea of registering with the N, our form of magic is forging written contracts to create protection and tethering wards so that people don't wander into different liminal spaces. For me personally, I manifest a form of fire magic, which specifically is used as kind of like a way to illuminate and provide light. And the fire would be used not necessarily to burn, but more in the way that fire would be traditionally used for like purification and for rituals and stuff. So for protection purposes and guidance. So maybe it's a magic system that isn't offense oriented, but because especially if we're not trying to like fight monsters or anything, we're like keep wanting to use the word edging, and that's not right here. I think we should lean towards developing the magic system in a way that frames it as inherently focused solely on, and my Chrono Trigger music just paused, that focuses on defense, support, so wards and charms, protection, guidance, and information. I think those should be like the three categories if I have to like sort of, if I wanted to like put out the categories of like what I would want the concept of a supernatural power system in this universe to do, would be protection, um, guidance, and information. Ugh. Hmm. I'm thinking, I'm letting it simmer. Thinking, workshopping in my head. We could... We could also maybe to tie things more together, we could just make it, since contracts exist already, it could be like a magic system that is focused purely on writing. I'm staring at Citroda because I'm sure Citroda's going to put something like what if you write giant fart cloud? And I'm going to have to look at that and be like, oh, trying to put some limitations on this. Uh, thinking, thinking. Another typical, another way of approaching a magic system would be if there's a divine source, if there's a god or a deity. And I think originally for the liminal space world building, I have conceived ideas of there potentially being like guardians, so to say, for liminal spaces. Like different spaces would have like a certain like quote unquote guardian. I don't know if I want to take that route for this. And I don't know if I really want to revive that either. I'm thinking. Hmm. This is a toughie. I have like a new idea, but I'm trying to rotate it in my brain to figure out how to explain it. Because the other way we could look at this is trying to figure out how do we make the magic system serve the themes of the universe, which is what I did for my passion project to really revamp everything. And I think using that sort of question to start off might help us here also. So we're focusing on the idea of liminality, reflecting, moving on, grounding yourself, finding your next path, figuring out where you need to go, things like that. Um, hmm. Hmm. Anyone have any ideas? Any other ideas to like toss out, even if maybe they're not as relevant to maybe the themes? We're workshopping and brainstorming. We're conceptualizing. I would say no idea is a bad idea, but then I'm scared as to what some of y'all might try to suggest, in which case that would prove me wrong, and then I would actually have to say some ideas are bad ideas. So please don't prove me wrong. Hmm. I think I think we might work with elemental magic. And hold on, I'm just again, this is a new idea, another idea that I'm rotating. Let me let me rotate it further. I think we can take the route of focusing solely on protection, guidance, and information, and we take an elemental magic approach. And I think the biggest thing that'll be relevant for this is divination. Like divination rituals, referencing old divination methods that relied on natural elements and stuff. Is this flowing in y'all's head, or do I have to explain it further? I probably have to do. So it wouldn't be that people would specialize in one element, but it would be more like each elemental class has like little lick jump scare. At least it's not from my own music. Although I do have my music in this playlist, so good luck. Um, what was it? Anyway, it's like so one of the ideas that I've had rotated but never put around anywhere that fire magic would have in the liminal space aspect would be twin flames. So it's this idea that you create a flame and you spread it between two lanterns. The flames in both of the lanterns, as long as the air is relatively gentle and there's not really any strong air currents, both of the flames will never be standing straight and they will always be slightly wavering in the direction of the paired flame that they're with. Um, so that would be like an example of like what I would think of what would match this idea of like elemental magic, but also with an aspect of like falling under protection, guidance, information. Wait, protection, information, guidance. Pig. We're trying to make pig magic. So that would fall under that. Okay. I guess if you wanted to find what if finding a traveler that got lost and locating them was a one-time thing, magic-wise. If we're using the elements, what we would do is we take the contract that you signed and we would burn it. And the resulting smoke and ash would be carried off through the air currents and we would follow it to locate you. But because of that, it's a one-time usage thing and we have to reforge that tethering contract, essentially. So it's kind of like a tracking device, but it only works once we activate it. Although that does make it sound like we could just do fire as all of the types of pig magic and then we'd be great and fine and handy dandy. Which, I mean, I would play, but I do want to incorporate the other elements. So like that one is like fire and like air. Because it's like you burn it and then the air carries it. And then water and earth. Thinking we're workshopping this. What kind of like pig magic could you do with those? What if there was a magic spell where you could talk to pebbles? Bear with me. I have reasoning. For this. Let's say I'm going out into the forest of the liminal space, and I'm trying to find Citrona and Bones, who are doing dumb stuff as usual. And I don't want to waste a homing paper, whatever. We'll figure out the name of the spell. I don't want to waste a thingy on them, just because I have to reforge and all that, right? So I go walking in where I assume the correct direction is. I pick up a pebble, and we use a form of divinatory magic where the pebble is an 8-ball. So you talk to the pebble like it's an 8-ball, and you ask it a yes or no question. Should this pebble be like a one-time use thing? I feel like it should be. I feel like we should keep this common theme of like we're using up things. We're because like relevance of like we're moving on. We're using up resources. We're using up things. We have to accept that they will disappear, I guess. God forbids there's like a rock shortage, but you know, some liminal space phenomenon will fix that. You think I should let the rocks talk all the time? Oh, okay, sure. Why don't you write out the world building for that and we can figure that out? Well, what I think it would be is that You ask the pebble. So I would ask the pebble. I hold it in my hand. I cast a divinatory spell, and I ask a pebble a yes or no question, like did Citrona and Bones, the two individuals I am trying to manually locate, walk by this exact spot? And then the pebble will shake in my hand if it is a yes, and it will do nothing if it is a no. And then it pulverizes itself into dust. This can't be good for pebble economy. No, it won't be. I'm thinking about this. Endangered pebble. If you break a bigger rock, can you get multiple questions from the pieces? That's what I'm like trying to think. Is it like well, what happened if you have like a bigger rock? Or like what if you just brought pebbles, but then the pebbles wouldn't have been in the space because they'd only be able to ask yes or they would only be able to answer yes or no questions about things that have happened in the area that they're around. So if you take a pebble that's been in your house the entire time and you try to ask it about the outside, it's going to be like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about, my dude, and it's not going to do anything. You know? What if it was like a leaf? Like use leaves instead. But also, rock as an 8 ball is funny. But we could also just do like leaves from plants. There needs to be a pebble size limitation so that baby pebbles can grow up big and strong before exploding from someone asking it about dinner. I don't think people should be abusing their magic to ask pebbles about dinner. Some species should be more trustworthy than others. We could do that. Actually, that would be good. I think it'd be like kind of OP of a power to be able to ask yes and no questions, and trees might just know the answers to anything. I think it should be that you can ask both trees and rocks. So God forbid you're in like a office hallway because you're probably not gonna find unless you find like a potted plant in there, which is like how are they surviving? We don't know. They've been thriving. That plant has just been surviving in there. Maybe it's a pothos. I don't know. Limitations. I think what we could do is also is using water like a compass, sorry. A compass that it's like a divinatory water compass. And on your little water compass, you put like a feather or a little hair of an animal that you're looking for. Oh, and there's my EP. Or like a blueberry, or like remnants of a raspberry, and the water compass will form like will either point it or shape it into like, or maybe move it on like the little puddle disc of water to like indicate the closest instance of said thing. Why are the raspberries and remnants? Because I'm trying to think about if this idea should work if you have an incomplete simulacrum of an item. So like what if you have like powdered fruit? What if you have a freeze-dried strawberry instead? What if your leaf to find the closest maple tree is like really shriveled up, you know? Should it be a weaker signal? Should it not work? I like that we have the forest BGM playing in the background. The foundations of magic. Taking out your dowsing rod and target and showing it your half-eaten three musketeers. Oh my gods. I mean, it's relatively intact. So I guess that would work. You'd like to think it gets confused for other nougat chocolate bars? Maybe that's the limitation. I don't know if you're in an ad break. I'm going to hold on. Waiting for that ad break to end. I think if we're approaching it from us trying to theorize how this magic system works, I think we should try to think of it as like the magic system. Maybe we could assume it operates on what would be the most esoteric way to say it? Information is stored in the balls. Like the surroundings, the natural environment of liminal space has memories written into it. You know, like how in Frozen 2 they're all like, there's what memories in water or whatever. It's the same concept, except every natural aspect of liminal space can do that. And so by using magic, we're tapping into the memories and information that is stored in our natural surroundings. And I think your thing about your water compass getting confused on finding a different nougat chocolate bar would make sense. I think the water compass works by detecting by similar composition. So it's detecting so because you're putting something that has multiple constituents, it could find you a regular Hershey's chocolate bar, plain and simple, but it could also find you a nougat chocolate bar that is not Three Musketeers, like a Snickers, because some of the components are similar enough to what you're searching for. Which would be really funny if you put like a deer a piece of deer fur to locate the nearest deer, and you find a moose because for some reason the water compass thought that was like a close enough search result for you. I like this. This is good. This is good. This is going to be fun. The magic in the out of bounds seems to operate on the idea that memories and information are stored in the natural environment. Akin to animism, it's almost as if the natural elements have spirits in them. Although we currently do not have an actual way to confirm that yet. Maybe we should use the Wu Xing. I think it's X. Is X pronounced like an SH? Hold on. How does Chinese phonology work with the pinyin? Hold on, you might randomly hear random uh, Chinese pronunciation. Okay, cool. Wu Xing, but I don't remember the tones for the word, but it's the Wu Xing in traditional Chinese culture is it's a fivefold um it's just a fivefold system that revolves around the classical five planets, which also has traditional five classical elements that is used in like everything. Maybe the elemental system should be based on that. So there's water, fire, wood, earth, and metal. Just because I think that works better because that way we can have like an explanation as to why we can talk to plants. And that's just because we're communing with the wood element. This is also only because I've been looking at Wuxing as of late to figure some stuff out for my passion project world building. After some discussions with our inn concierge and returning travelers, we've identified that we can somewhat use the rushing system to dictate the elements through which we are able to cast magic. I feel like the big question that's staring at me is how we discover any sort of magical spell. Maybe it's like an Owl House Frozen thing where you discover it through your environment. You're wandering around the forest and you trip on a few rocks and boulders and you ask, Chat, am I cooked? And all the rocks start shaking at you. And that's how you learned you're very earth aligned in your magic. That system about to kill you for calling them chat. Let's see if I remember the cycle order correctly. M dash. Okay. It goes wood. I'll just start with wood. Wood feeds fire. Fire. Fire turns into ash, which is earth. Earth condenses into like ores and stuff, which is metal, and then metal like shapes water or whatever. I believe that's at least the order for the generative cycle for whooshing. Let me search it up. Hold on. Let me see what the tones are. It's the pinyin, which how do I even pronounce this? Pinyin. Those are all the straight tones. So this one will be whooshing, I think, because the diacritics approximately represent the tonal intonations. Tonal intonations is redundant. Whooshing. Woo. Sorry, I have the website open. Hold on. Where is the W sound? Please. Ooh. Ooh. And then whooshing. There's a lot of learning here being done. Anyway, yes. Should we do for this world, for the new world building edition, should we do a section per element? So 402 would be like the wood specific spells, 403 would be like fire. I think we should do it that way. Okay, is this the correct? No, 402 or Control L2 for this. Okay, wood. Because the magic mostly works to provide A, protection, B, information, or C, guidance. Of note, this makes the acronym PIG, which we think is hilarious. We may alternatively refer to this magic as divination. Ooh. Although divination is definitely more traditionally like a fortune telling thing, but we can be evil and fuck it up. Okay, chop top, let's get all these elements in. So we have wood, we have fire. Oh, ooh, ooh. We have 404 earth, metal, 406 water. Are we going to call it water compass or do we want to call it something else? Because we also need to think about mechanically what happens so we can describe it because we want to describe how these spells work. You just got reminded of Asian cucumber chili salad. Why? You make it sound like you're like, oh, cucumber chili salad. Oh, my fainting chair. Oh, I miss you. Pulls out small locket of inside of which your locket is a photo of Asian cucumber chili salad. You rub the photo longingly as you stare at the photo inside your locket. A reverse dowsing rod. I guess it should be like, what are like, if we were to write instructions on how to cast the spell. Okay, let's start with the name. Let's start with the name. Should we choose like a theming for all of the names? What if we make them all in French? How do you say compass in French? Hold on. Compass in French. Boussole. Never mind. Let's not do French. The fuck. um. Welcome back, Italy. Do you want me to do Italian? Bussola. Bussola. It's just the same in Italian. I think they're using the same etymology. Oh, I'm being rated. Oh my lord. Hi Raiders. Imagine I talked in this falsetto for like the entire time I introduced myself to stream or to the raid. Hi Sin, it's good to see you again. Hello there, Antichrist and Strawberry Luna and Sin and that Happy Blue. Welcome on in, everyone. I hope your Arc Raider stream went well. I actually don't know what that is. So you will have to educate me. Oh, I'm burping. Hold on. Oh, gas. I'm being attacked by gas. Hi, Justice John. I don't know what Arc Raiders is. I've seen some people play it through like Discord status and stuff, but I don't recognize like. Well, I saw the logo and I'm like, oh my gosh, like 80s and like 70s logo. But that's all I know. So I don't know anything else. Anyway, let me introduce myself to everyone really quick. Come on, load faster. Okay. um, Hi everyone, hello. My name is Bonnie. I go by they, them pronouns only, please. I'm a fire elemental. Welcome on in. On the internet, on the interwebs, I'm known as a multimedia creative. So I do illustration, music production, graphic design, programming, world building, writing, dance, crying, napping. Anyway, illustration wise, I do a lot of character art. So if you haven't seen some of my character art, I have OCs and Sonas. I do art of other people sometimes too. I participated in art fight these past 2 years, so this year and last year. Still relatively new to art fight, I will say. Um, yeah, I'm so creative. Art is so painful. um, but yes. You can also see my little skeleton meme in the corner. Hey, a reminder that I'm one of those they thems. If you need that reminder. Um, yeah. Arc Raiders is a new game that just dropped. It's a PvPvE. Oh, okay, cool. How does that work? I don't think I'm familiar with how that game mode would work, or that general game mode would work. But it sounds like it's been fun, hopefully? Question mark. I hope it's been fun. I hope you've been winning. Have you been winning? Question mark. Stares at you. Also before we continue, Sin, if you or any of the other raiders need to get food, water, or rest, I know streaming can be tiring. Fun, but tiring. Please make sure to get your rest. Rest is important. Number one priority. If any of y'all need to lurk or leave for whatever reason, absolutely no worries. We have a quick way out of liminal space. You have a Discord server, right? I should be in your Discord server, probably. So I can send you this image. I was like, so every time I start up a stream that's supposed to be art or something related to art, I always open up Clip Studio and I always put on like the most random image as kind of like the meme introduction, if that makes sense. Like it's like the introductory like palate cleanser, the appetizer to the stream. And so I saw this image while I was opening up my file explorer in Clip Studio, and I was really confused because I was like, I don't recognize what this image is. And so I did, and I was like, oh, hello. Let me hide the overlay one really quick. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I should join your Discord server so I can send this to you. Hello there, Barer? Please should let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Sometimes, apparently, I'm good at pronouncing people's usernames, but I'm not 100% good with my accuracy. So always let me know. Let's see. Basically, you and up to 2 friends run around completing personal objectives. Other players can decide to attack you, and you can choose to attack them, and the AI attacks everyone. Oh, okay, okay, okay. I understand. League of Legends. I don't know why I didn't think of it that way. The enemies in the jungle when you're a jungler. I should remember that's like probably the best thing I can think of that would explain PvPvE to me. Anyway, yeah. You're thinking of D2 Gambit. I don't know what that is. My guess is as good as yours. You never heard the name pronounced, you've only read it. Oh. We're in this together. Skeleton memes that's gonna rattle you. Please enjoy. I'll have to make sure to join Sin's server because I've known them since like last year because of VTuber SummerSlam actually. Oh my gosh, a celebrity corrupts in my chat. Just kidding. If y'all been wondering what we've been doing this stream, we're not actually drawing, but this month as one of my VTuber SummerSlam milestones from this year. Um, I'm actually revitalizing my personal world build, not my personal world building, my VTuber specific world building. It's very elaborate and we're kind of revitalizing it. And as of where you've caught us right now, we're kind of porting things over from like the old edition of the world building document. And we're porting it over, and right now we're kind of like we're writing like the magic system, and we're kind of having fun because the goal of the magic system that I want is like it's so liminal space. I want the magic system to be focused on PIG, which is an acronym I just made up for protection, information, and guidance. And I also think it'd be cool if it was an elemental based system. So we're kind of doing like it's just divination based on the natural elements. So we have like a few spells thought up already. So right now we've been talking about this water compass where you like we're still figuring out destructions, but you make a disc of water. You put a piece of the material that you want to locate onto the water disc, and the water disc will slowly oscillate and move that material towards one edge of the disc to kind of like point you in the direction of the nearest instance of said item. And of course, I have my friend here, Citrona, who has the most horrendous interpretations of anything I write in world building. Um, so earlier they said, taking out my dowsing rod in Target and showing it my half-eaten Three Musketeers, like setting a game dog on a trail. And so we're like, oh, I took that and ran with it because I was like, oh. And then Citrona was like, oh, maybe it'll mistake a Snickers for what you're looking for. And I was like, you know what? That could be accurate. Maybe it's looking for the closest Google search result that may not exactly give you the exact result you're looking for. So like if you put deer fur, if you're really unlucky, it'll point you in a direction, but it'll give you a moose instead, which would probably ruin your day, to word it lightly. So we're doing things like that. It's fun. We're having fun writing. I think that's the most important part. Yeah. But thank you for the follows, y'all. I hope you enjoy your time here in liminal space, even though this liminal space is technically metaphysically under construction as we rewrite the world building. But I want to go back to Clip Studio because I want to show y'all the other stupid memes that I have saved that I always show whenever I'm opening up Clip Studio. Where's my favorite smoothie bar one? Here it is. I feel so down, I can barely even bring myself to follow the arrow that's pointing towards the smoothie bar. I saw like someone playing this through like an Instagram reel and like it's the introductory tutorial is really funny because like the entire introductory tutorial to understand the game UI is entirely written in this tone. Like the character just speaks in this tone constantly, and it's like, okay. I love it when the arrows are diegetic apparently in the universe for whatever reason of this Bratz video game. I don't know why. I guess they just planned it that way. But yes, that's how it works. What else do I have? I have this meme that I made myself. That I haven't pulled out that I don't pull out too often, but I think it's very funny. So if you know Persona 4 and you know Jar Jar Binks, Misa Shadow, the true self. Um, I think I made this because of Citrona, actually. So I have this one. We have Slug Love because we love insects and cute little critters here. So we have Slug Love because slugs are so cute. Look at them. They're so cute. They're cute little guys. And the big guys are cute too, but like, they're so cute. And then I think I've shown this one before, this crying cat that's about to be picked up and dragged away. Because this one is like universally applicable. This one's a pretty sad one. um, what else do I use? It's not like I use that many. I should use like more. I don't have any reason to use this one, but I have this one. I'm gonna commission you. I don't really know why this exists in the first place, but I have this. Um, so if any of you ever need to use this to commission someone, feel free to use this image. I think you can find it online. If you search up Markiplier, I'm gonna commission you. Um, I want to say that's it for stupid memes that I have. Although I could check the ones that I've manually made. Mm, yeah, okay. Okay, let me close some of these because these are gonna like flood my computer if I keep them open. Okay, we're gonna go back to magic system writing. Okay, are we just gonna call this water compass for now? Water compass. I was also thinking the name of the spell would be like how you start your incantation, but also like, do we want? Well, I feel like there should be some sort of incantation that you do. Like there should be like some sort of like verbal, if not mental, incantation you do to like make the spell work. Like you have to do something to show to the universe, aka liminal space, that you're intentionally trying to activate said magical spell. I guess an incantation would just be the best way for this, for our purposes. Hold on, I need to end all of these with divination. 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 Okay. So I think the water compass, so step 1 should be actually, hold on. I should do I don't know where I should put the description of the spell. Maybe we should do this. then this is how I do it in a lot of like my information documents. And I'm worried if you have like a big block of text like this, it gets really confusing because then you'll roll down to the instructions and you're like, what? But this might be the best way to do it for now. Water compass. Locate the nearest approximate match of your desired material. Results may vary wildly. 1. I think locate a body of water will be really bad. If for some reason you decide to use a lake to be your source of element for this spell, you go over to your lake and you're like, oh, almighty water of this lake, please divine for me the nearest Three Musketeers bar. You put it on the lake and it just zips across the entire lake because it's using the entire surface of the lake as your compass disc. You apologize that this is jumping ahead, but how do you break/abuse the system? The way this reads, magic can't be used to harm, so you're wondering if there are any means where magic gets used in more hostile fashion. Well, we will see, because we are still writing spells, and you never know. Perhaps we will stumble upon something like that. Before this specific VTuber world building, I'm doing a lot of things where the stories. So, I did a big explanation about this earlier in stream. So the big thing about my world building is that essentially, I am here. I am a hotelier. I run an inn in liminal space. I talked about liminality, and I'm going to try my best to quickly summarize it. But essentially, liminality, I know a lot of people know about liminal spaces, but that's mainly through internet culture, and that's not necessarily through the proper lens of what liminality actually is. So liminal spaces in internet culture is somewhat approximately intersecting with what liminality is in a proper form, or the proper definition, therefore, of. I don't think that was grammatically correct. Liminality in a general concept refers to the phase between stage A and stage B of a transition. The point at which you have moved on from stage E, but you're not at stage B yet. So the reason why a lot of liminal spaces that you see in internet culture of liminal spaces, why that tends to be accurate is because things like hallways and stuff are liminal spaces. Schools, you can argue, are liminal spaces. If you show a house and it's really dark and empty, that is canopsia. That is not liminal. Unless you're showing a hallway, which is liminal. Because in the strictest sense, a liminal space is something, a location that is meant to be a transitional space between point A and point B. And so an obvious, easy example for you to understand this are airports, train stations, and bus stations because, or more specifically, the vehicles of the train, the plane, cars, taxis, because those are quite literally vehicles taking you from point A to point B. And so to be stuck in the liminal phase would be for those vehicles to literally break down, in which you are quite literally stuck between point A and point B and are currently in a liminal state. So liminal spaces like hallways are considered have a liminal quality because they take you from room to room and are meant to be the walkways from room A to room B. Schools, you can argue, are liminal because they are a temporary space that you're not meant to stay at. Liminality also applies to non-spatial concepts, so temporally and beyond temporal. So things like puberty and graduating. gender queerness and sexuality also has aspects that can be considered liminal. So the idea of being non-binary, being trans, is inherently liminal. Um, so okay, I think that was almost as long as the explanation I made earlier in the stream. The reason why this is relevant is because the reason why I chose liminal spaces for my VTuber lore and for the whole world building is because I want this space to be kind of like, it's the idea that people are pulled into these liminal spaces because they're currently at a point in their life where maybe they're having difficulty moving on, maybe they're struggling with something that is currently stopping them with where they are in life right now. The idea of, being stuck between point A and point B, right, in regards to liminality. And so the kind of idea is that in our liminal space here, you can find your time to ground yourself, recenter yourself, interact with others, share stories, experiences, and memories to kind of help you with that recentering, that grounding, and then return to your original reality with your newfound learned lessons and experiences and whatnot to kind of help you move beyond old roadblocks that were pestering you um or uncertainties that you weren't sure how to answer that kept you from moving to the next stage of maybe the next major stage of your life, maybe just a minor problem that you've been pondering over but you haven't figured out how to address yet. And so the biggest thing about revamping the world building, especially throughout this entire month, is the idea that so originally this was a lot more tied into the passion project that I've been working on for like the past however long. So there were hostile entities because there are monsters in my passion project world building, but I am nixing monsters from this world building because I don't really want to use one. I don't like the idea of monsters in liminal spaces in regards to internet culture. I Every time I see a liminal space game and it turns out to have a monster or entity in it, I cry and I'm like, please. I want to have creatures, but not like a big antagonistic eldritch being thing that exists in these liminal spaces. Thank you very much. And then two, I want to like decenter it away from there being some sort of like representative entity of some sort of negative aspect or being. Most because I do that enough in the passion project already, so I don't want to like work on that also in this world building and try to tackle thematic motifs or just the themes and stuff in this specific bubble in a different way. I guess is kind of like the bigger focus too. But that doesn't mean there can't be like deviations from the system. Again, if we can figure out ways to make a pig oriented magic system, again, protection, information, and guidance, work in a aggressive, violent manner, then so it shall be. Which I can think of how, but more in a provides guidance information to do violent thing, more so than be directly violent, but we'll have to see. Purgatory of sorts minus religious connotations unless they apply to the visitor. Yes. And I also like that you add religious connotations unless they apply, because technically if we have someone who falls into the liminal space, and it's because they are experiencing troubles with their faith, then in that case there are religious connotations here to be explored. But you get the idea. Very good. Yay, I'm explaining it well enough. I would also like to say, I also explained this earlier, liminality is relative and subjective. What is liminal to you may not be liminal to someone else. You, as a guest who is temporarily staying at my lovely inn, this is a liminal place for you. As someone who works here, this is not liminal for me because this is more permanent, long-standing to me. Unless I were treating this as like a part-time job that I know I will move away from. But because that's not the case, this hotel, this inn, does not have liminal quality for me. So that's also something to think about when it comes to liminality. The more proper. I think this falls under like anthropology and sociology, I would say. That's very cool, very awesome. Anyway, yeah. So let's see. Abuse of system. If we can think of direct divination methods that would be used in hostile ways, then that would answer your question and yes. But we had to think about it. So let me stick down all the ideas that we've written so far. I know I've put down like, I think like, what, 2 for fire? So the first thing would be twin flames, and then the second one would be contract of the end, which is a more detailed one. Transients that register at the left eye manner in buying a contract which binds their essence, their soul. Well, okay, so this idea of magic in the system is, hold on, did my music pause? No, Sweden from Minecraft is playing. Okay. It's the idea that memories and information are stored in the natural environment. Which records a copy of the now registered traveler in the paper. By burning the paper, by burning the contract, a wisp of ash and cinder is created, which levitates, floats, dances, which flies, soars, which soars on air currents to it's the idea that the ash and cinder will fly, will take you to the traveler, and then there's an exception that I just thought of, which we will get to soon. To which then uses, which then is carried on air currents to then fly to the position of the traveler. Okay, maybe we don't have to do the instructions thing if I just write it like this. By incanting at a body of water, whether natural or artificially created, a material or may be placed on the surface of the water to then find the nearest in italics, approximate match of said material. For instance, rabbit fur would move toward the edge of the water surface in the direction of the closest approximate match. Okay, maybe we should use the colon instead of M dash. But that's only because I like using M dashes in my writing. In the direction of the closest approximate match. A live rabbit. In many cases it is likely that the compass will detect a subjectively false match. Deer fur has been reported to this spell has been reported to detect a moose, a live moose, after deer fur was used as the component. There we go. Very good, very awesome. Also, thank you for the follow. I hope you enjoy your time here. I'll be right. Magic spells and how they can fail. I'm gonna actually put this as a sub-bullet because I think exceptions and unexpected behaviors of the spell should be listed. And I think that should be like a big thing because it's like, oh, these are not normal. Like, or it is unlikely that these spells will work as we expect. So we have that. Oh, we should put the multi-substance. Um, mm, the spell has been reported to detect various, I was about to say species, various brands of chocolate bar that did not match the original piece of chocolate, of candy bar used used as the component. Because they're trying to write it from like we're trying to write it from the perspective of us discovering and understanding these spells, barring the part where we discover the spells in the first place, because we're going to not think about that right now because my brain will die if I have to tinker that over, because that is one of the things that I could spend so long doing, because one of my not strong suits, but one of the things that I was always rabbit hole will be always doing like millennia of like world history writing. But I should not do that for now. Okay. So wood divination would be the trees whisper, because I cannot think of a better name for the spell. By asking yes or no question to nearby plant life, one may garner. What does garner mean again? Define garner. Gather or collect? Okay, thank you. May garner information of the surroundings. How do I explain this? Of the surroundings and recent happenings in the surroundings. In the One may garner information of the surroundings and recent happenings in the area surrounding the plant used for divination. Hi Voidism, hello there. Oh, oh my god, this eye. Oh my god. Sorry, I was looking at your first emote. I was like, bird? Not bird? But hello, come on and have. Oh, it's actually about to be 1 a.m. for me. Happy Thursday. And I guess happy Thursday to everyone else also. I hope you're doing well. I hope your start to November has been good as well. Well, come on in. Oh, Demon Bird. I see, I see. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. So then the exception to this, or after various test cases, it has been proven, or it is theorized that different tree species are more trustworthy than others. Citrona, would you like to elaborate on this, on what trees you think would be more trustworthy or not if you're here? Since you're the one who suggested this part specifically. May a demon bird. But cute demon bird. Well, I mean, you're a demon bird, so obviously you'd be scary and aura. I cannot think of the right wording to use here. Um Scary. Uh an aura of scary. Man. Thank you. His name is Erebus. You're more of the tree he perches upon. Ah, I see, I see. Erebus is a cute name. Erebus just made me think immediately of like Persona 3, but that's only because I need to catch up on my Persona 3 reload playthrough. With that tidbit, that makes you want to call this the Sylvian Riddle. That's a cute name, actually. We could do that, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if there's like a, again, I talked about it earlier. I don't know if there's like a specific theming I want to do for spell names, if I want to do idioms, I was like jokingly like, let's do like French or Italian. And then I looked at the word for compass and I was like, maybe never mind. I don't know. So we'll just leave it as is. Maybe the spell names should just explain what they do and be direct and to the point, because I could also do that. Um, so we'll see. Um, we'll see. I haven't figured out anything for Earth and Metal. Earth would be a similar one to the Trees Whisper, in that you would be able to talk to stones. I feel like, I wonder if there should be like a difference in those two divination spells in the way that you ask plant life and then how you ask stones, or if it's like the information that you get. I'm trying to think. I do have a Discord server, yes. It's just not listed in profile or my channel just because I have that as one of my, what is it? What's the term? It's not rule, but it's a cautionary measure because I know people can do like hate raids and stuff for Discord servers, and by having a public link on a Twitch channel profile, that tends to be like the way for people to be like evil with that sort of thing. Like I've seen it happen. Like I've had a friendo of mine have their server get hate rated after they put like a link to it on Blue Sky because they were doing a watch along. Um, but I think this one, yes. So I have one for my personal Twitch community, and then I have one for my stream team of friends that I'm with. Um, Honestly, your preference if you want to join and share anything specific. I guess the first one would be like what? The first one would probably be the best one, but I always emphasize the scaling one just because it's nice to combine communities with my friendos. But before I elaborate more on that, I had to say hello. Hi, Celeste. Thank you for the raid. Another Celeste raid. I appreciate it. Hi, Aki Show again. Vesper. You changed your username. Your username is different. It Hello, Bat Lord Vesper. Celeste had to raid and run. Aw, no worries. I get it. I understand very well. I know Celeste must rest very much so often. You done goofed on your name? Wait, what do you mean goofed? As in with the current username change that you just did? Or something else? But thank you, Celeste, for the raid. For those that don't know who I am, I'm gonna cough and die. Hold on. That's who I am. Hold on. Coffee has been slightly overt. Oh, wait, actually. Okay, I think I'm alive. Hello, my name is Bonnie, I say in between coughing. I go by they, them pronouns only, please. I forgot to put the skeleton back up. Here it is. I'm one of those they, thems. um, I'm a multimedia creative on the interwebs. I do illustration, music production, graphic design, world building, writing, dance, programming. um, I do a lot of things. We're doing world building writing tonight. We're rewriting my VTuber world building, and elaborating on it and making it fun and silly and cool. So that way we can have a world. That way I can have a world building to share with our travelers instead of the personal world building that I keep changing every like few months. But yes, I hope Celeste's Silent Hill F Dream 112. I know that game is a lot, but very fun. For every one of my ends, first, I do want y'all to make sure to check out Corruption. Again, they are a friendo of mine that I met last year from VTuber SummerSlam. And then if y'all could also make sure to check out Celeste. Celeste raids here and there. I try to raid Celeste when I can if I end early. Celeste is the founder of my Twitch officiated stream team, because partner. Twitch stream team Cosmic Chaos. They are super cool. Super cozy streams. Very chaotic also. Chaotic, cozy, comfy. Chaotic seems like the outlier to that, but I promise they're very nice streams to be in. Also, bar 4 a.m. Oh my lord. Please have a good night. Thank you again for coming along with the raid and for chilling with us. I appreciate it. And thank you for all of the lovely feedback and like suggestions and ideas on world building stuff. I always appreciate it. Again, this is like community world building sort of thing. So like we're trying to like put this stuff together, and I'm trying to not be like super strict with it because I can be like very strict to the point, which is why I change my world building every 3 months or something for my passion project. But I will keep your idea on like hostile magic in mind because I know that tends to be like the things for any sort of system because you know war and battle and stuff and the inherent conflict in human civilizations. Um But that is, we'll see if we can touch upon that as we further deepen this. But yeah, also hello, Redstone, Rock and Stone. Hello. I hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday to you. Um, I don't suppose you're the Redstone that I know. To word it in the most in the most ambiguous and like ominous way possible. Only because I happen to know someone named Redstone through Discord. Through a Discord server. Let's see. You done goofed on your name. You renamed your main account and lost the old name. Oh, yeah. That is how that works. I think it's like your thing is like held for like 6 months or something like the old name that you had if you ever renamed your account, which is not fun. My friends went. I think it was actually a year-long endeavor for them. Um, just because they were doing this joke where they added VT to the end of their names because VTuber, and then they didn't realize that they lose their original name or it stays locked like 6 months or something. But that was a fun endeavor. Oh, it could be someone else. I see. I see. No worries. I'm just I sometimes I recognize certain names and I'm like brain pattern detected question mark. But regardless, I hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday. Welcome on in. How are you? How's your November been? Same to you, Vesper. But also anyone, I know Celeste already went off, but if any of y'all raiders with Celeste need to get food, water, or rest, I'm getting confused because Celeste and rest kind of rhyme. If you need to get food, water, and or rest, please make sure to do so. We have a quick way out of liminal space if you need to hop out for any reason. We'll just be here doing writing, world building writing, which I count as art. I know there's a writing category, but still. um, I'm gonna elaborate on this one, the twin flames, just because I will forget. Oh my god, I can't write this spell. No, this spell, please. Hi, Nikki. Hello. Hello to you. Full of rage. What do you mean, boo? Why are you booing? Shouldn't I be booing you? You cool person. Oh, you're feeling sicky, so this is a raid and run. Now I have to boo you. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry you're feeling sicky. I hope you've been well. I hope your stream went well. How was your... What did you do? Guild Wars 2 stream. Oh, boo equals spooky. Sorry, I have it set so that for my stream, the boo emote is like the cat dancing back and forth like woo, but it has thumbs down instead. So that's why I was like, what the? I forgot. Hee 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 hee. I'm silly. Um, Hello, Nikki's Raid. For those that don't know who I am, I'm Bonnie. I go by they, them pronouns. I'm a multimedia creative. I do a lot of creative work. We're doing world building writing tonight. I'm actually rewriting, revamping, remastering my VTuber specific world building and lore. Right now, we're working on the magic system, which is pretty fun. I'm kind of doing heck all because I don't do that enough at world building. Well, I do, but I'm being a lot more free form and trying not to put too many restrictions on myself, and hopefully won't regret it later. Side eyes myself. Uh, but yeah. You played Witcher till it made you nauseous, then you did your Guild Wars dailies. Ah, I see, I see. I'm sorry to hear about the nausea. Yeah, nausea sucks, especially when I get motion sickness when I play like first person 3D games. And then also whenever I get headaches from like temperature changes, though both of those causes, those catalysts leave me like debilitated for like a few hours. It's not fun. So I'm sorry to hear that. I relate. So please make sure to rest up. Thank you for the raid. I hope Witcher went well. I'm sure Guild Wars went fine because you're a pro at that game and you love it and you're so pro at it because you're a pro gamer. For everyone on my end, please check out Kitty Ert, Nikki. They are a super cool artist that you should support as they are on a grand expedition. They are actually, considering we've been talking about liminality and how it's relevant to my lore and world building as a VTuber, they currently are trying to move out of their current liminal state of being. And so any support, um, rather moral or financial, would be greatly appreciated for Nikki. Please, 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 please. They are a super cool artist, a super cool business entrepreneur, who has hosted Halloween Party in the past, which is an annual seasonal collaboration event for small artists to kind of get experience with making merch and selling merch. Please remove you from the state of being, yeah. Please help Nikki transition out of this liminal state of being, please. But yes, if please make sure to go get rest, Nikki, and anyone else that came along with the raid. But yeah, we're doing magic system writing, um, essentially to kind of like catch up on speed. The magic system, I decided I wanted it to be based on PIG, which is an acronym I just came up with. It's the idea that for liminality, from moving from point A to point B, like it's trying to ground yourself, recenter, and learn from people's experiences, memories, and just learn from other people's experiences, stories, and memories, to kind of help yourself understand where you're currently at, what paths you can take, and how you can kind of move forward or get out of the situation you're in, regardless of if it's like super bad or if it's something minor. So in tandem with that, the magic system PIG is protection, information, and guidance. So it's all about like just general divination using the surrounding elements and the natural things around you instead. And there may be bad power scaling, but it doesn't matter. It's for fun. But yes, please have a good lurk, Nikki. Hi, Quinn. It is 1 a.m. for me, isn't it? It has been 3 hours of stream. Well, too bad. I'm having a blast writing magic spells. Just writing silly magic spell hee hee hoo ha's. Um, yes, how are you doing, Quinn? Isn't it like morning for you now, if I remember correctly? Using my sexy time zone knowledge, which I used through this magic system. I'm just kidding. Um, Let me write down twin flames. Twin flames. Um, by encanting a flame, you can split the flame into two smaller ones that will gently in waver in the direction of its paired flame, providing a way to locate, to reorient yourself and navigate back to its pair, back to its companion flame. Hi, blank sword death that randomly encountered here. Do you make it? That makes it sound like I should like do this grand shout out for Quinn, but I also don't want to like embarrass her because I know personally I get very embarrassed when I get shouted out, and I immediately am like, why is this happening to me? You're bonded to Bonnie ever since I played Blank Sword. What do you mean? It's called You're an Amazing. You and everyone else on the dev team are really cool for being super cool and interactive with community members. Miles. I think that's always super cool. But did you have breakfast yet? What? That's why I wanted to ask if or confirm that it was morning for you. What did you have for breakfast? Open your mouth. What did you have for breakfast? Thank you, Voidism. I will hydrate. Thank you, thank you. I'm trying to think on like what other spells we could do here. There's like a lot. I feel, but like fire creature must drink fire water. I have been asked about that before. The best way I could have worded it is that I am still partially living creature, so I still need water for some of my living functions. If you can think of a better explanation for that, then please be my guest. Or I guess you could also word it as using water helps regulate body temperature. Also, fuel gasoline also works too, yes. But also, if we have a running gag of me drinking gasoline, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. And I'm pretty sure that one anime gif of that random anime girl walking up to a gas station and drinking gasoline straight from the pump is going to show up and haunt me. It'd be funny though, but God. You had a big sandwich full of salami and mild peppers and cream cheese and a coffee and hot chocolate. I'm gonna be honest, that's a better breakfast than I have most days, but that's also because on work days I don't really have the time to have big breakfasts. I'm glad you had a good breakfast. I'm very happy to hear that. It makes me happy to know when friendos are acquaintances. Sorry. I try to be very careful with my usage of the word friendo and acquaintance to not be parasocial. When acquaintances / platonic friendly um are eating well. Just Thursdays are special because you meet family then? Ah, I see, I see. You're gonna make everyone breakfast before work. Ehehe. It's just been hard. I also feel bad because I know my parents would buy me cereal, but I don't really eat it anymore, even though it's like the quickest way for like eating breakfast at least. But nowadays I at least have like a protein shake, which is why I try to buy protein shakes on my grocery trips because at least it's something. And then I try to have like an uncrustable PB&J, which is like something. Also, thank you, Milo. I am stretching my hands right now, and Google Docs automatically saves, fortunately. It's not the platonic guess I'll go. Stop trying to make everything polycitrona. Do I want to know how big the Blank Sword story lore wiki is? Is this something you're allowed to tell us? I guess it would be. Are you sure it says? I sure hope it does because we wrote a lot of good stuff for the magic system so far, and I want to figure out more. I'm gonna cry if it gets lost, even though it's on stream and I can just rewrite it. You plan on making Chris breakfast at 4 a.m. because he never makes breakfast for himself. You know, I mean, it's hard, especially waking up that early. I used to make breakfast for myself when I was living in an apartment during my uni arc. If you make me breakfast though, Citrona, I don't know. I feel like I'm very particular because then I'd be like, I have very specific requests and I don't want to like annoy you with that. Okay, you have the luxury of going back to sleep, but I'm pretty sure you'd just wake up, be like, I have to make you breakfast, and then you'd be dreaming of making the breakfast, and you'd think you'd make it, but then you didn't actually because you woke up for like 1 second and then fell back asleep. I can see it now. 328 pages with dialogue scripts too. That's amazing. What's like the point size font? I need to like frame this point size font and like your line spacing. I'm pretty sure it's not double spacing, but I gotta double check. 11 point. Oh my god. That's wild. But also, it is like a full on world and story that y'all are creating, so I shouldn't be that surprised. I just had an idea. Because we barely have that many spells figured out so far for the world building. I figured out a way to maybe distinguish each element. And I think it should be that the caveat for each set of elemental divination spells, there's there's a common like theme of like consequence or side effect or unexpected behavior. So for fire, maybe some of the other forms of fire divination are that you have to sacrifice something in order to get some sort of information out of it. Because I was thinking of like, what if there's a fire divination spell of like burning a book for something? I don't know what for, but like burning a book. But then you're obviously sacrificing the book in the process of casting the spell. And then for water, it's fluid and approximate and questionable. And then maybe the wood one is like you have to like ask questions and stuff. We're big braining this world building right now. But then we had to figure out earth and metal. So then we're still kind of stuck there. 260 of these pages are dialogue scripts for the record. The rest is lore. Okay, first of all, 328 minus 260 is like 300, 128. That's 60 pages. 68, which is a lot. I don't remember how big my passion project world building doc is. Fun fact, magic isn't a thing in Blank Sword. You might be thinking, what the hell are moves then? I actually was wondering about that. I was wondering because sometimes, especially when you make like a video game, because I've always thought about how my passion project would work as a video game, and I think right now would be a lot harder to figure it out. I was looking at Blank Sword, I was like, what would be like the in-world explanations for like all of these moves existing and like move scrolls? Is the Angel of the Mine involved? What is wing rot? Poison, stuff like that. Oh my god, I'm getting like deep blank sword lore dump on like my stream, and I'm like, what is happening here? I'm going to like quote this on the wiki that I'm volunteering for, and I'm going to be like, Quinn has said this in a Twitch stream. It's going to be in like, oh, we should double check to make sure sources are like included as like sections of some of the pages if needed. In sources, a chat message in Twitch by Quinn KDev. There are mental techniques of the mind. The angelic have an inner mind, a mind palace called the innermost sight, where they control everything and they pull enemies into that battlefield. There's so much swarming in my head just from you saying that, and I'm going to explode. Because then one, I immediately think of like, oh, okay, so they're just immediately pulled. Are they like, is this like a physically pulled into this battlefield, or is this like the consciousness ported into this battlefield? And then two angels kissing. Sorry, two angels fighting. I'm curious if the appearance of the innermost sight will vastly vary between angels. Two angels fighting has their innermost sights clash. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was like, they're making out. The innermost sights will be making out violently, metaphorically. Hi, Voidism. We're talking about blank sword lore. I'm being given deep lore that I have to like source on like my on the wiki as a Twitch chat message for the game. Let me double check if the music is playing. No, it paused. And it stopped at Mice on Venus, so it's like, okay, my dude. That's great and all, but what about the angels kissing? Oh, well, there's yaoi in a spiritual manner in Blank Sword. Uh, um, that's it. That's all I have to offer, unfortunately. But there's yaoi and there's potentially tragic yaoi. Well, we'll see when because the game is in development, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. But I don't want to set expectations. I have a plethora of things that us in the community can theorize about. I don't want to list it as expectations because then that sets a very what is the wording here? I don't want to disappoint myself and like make this false self-dug grave of disappointment because I made high expectations. There you go. That's what it is. But I am excited to see what will come true and what will actually happen. Very exciting. Hee hee hoo hoo. It's okay. If not confirmed yet, the fandom can create the Yaoi and Yuri. What if I just made my angel OC kiss blank? What then? And Jake. What if I just made my angel OC kiss everyone? Well, I had to think about who they would not kiss now. Who would my OC not kiss? This is important OC information. Kissing you in my mind palace. You get a moveset combination that combines the love and French cuisine movesets, and it's called French kissing. I, I'm not gonna say anything about that. Anyway, yeah, blank sword. Very excited. I need to play some more. You think my OC should not kiss the operator? His lips are too powerful? What does this mean? Well, now you can't just say that because now I just learned that the concept is called reactance in psychology. My OC will now exhibit reactance and will be like, but why not kiss the operator? Because I think my OC, my Angel Sona for Blank Sword is a distillation of like the charisma, I guess, aspect wise. It's not the charisma, it's the part of my choleric temperament that's daring and it's like urging people to do things and it's like, ooh, do what you want. And like, like enabling is what I'm looking for. Because he's married as well. Oh, my OC will respect that. Belle will be respectful of that. Sorry for derailing, by the way, Magic System reminded you. No worries. I will now have to hopefully remember this because this is probably going to be something I will randomly source for the wiki, and I'm going to be like, here's my source. This is the most unusual way to get my information, but technically this works. I do love my delicious world building. Honestly, that makes the concept of the eloquence moveset funnier because it really is just psychic damage because you're literally screaming yo mama jokes at dogs to deliver damage to them. Sure is something. Now I have to imagine Blank doing a diss rap. Anyway, okay, let's see. Magic System. Citrona, or anyone else that's here, because you're all lovely travelers and members of our community. What other divination spells could we come up with? Sometimes the easiest way for me to think of this would be like throw characters into a situation and then see what like mishaps and innovations they get into with their magic. Because that's kind of what I do with my passion project world building, except that one that's kind of like the point of the magic system and like the themes in that one. So that one's a different story, but it's also relevant. I think it should be like I think we should think of it as like there aren't necessarily spells, maybe, but more so each I think we should frame it as each element has its own way of delivering pig to us. Um and we have to work with that and innovate with it. So if wood divination is quite literally only just talking to plants, but that gives us our information, then so be it. Hi Vivi, hello. Happy Thursday to you. I hope you're doing well. I just realized it's past my Snorlax bedtime. But hello, welcome on in. We're doing world building writing. We're working on magic system because we're gonna be stuck on magic system for a hot bit. Hold on, I need to like type in the emojis for this. Log or wood. And then I know there's a fire emoji for the element of fire. Earth will be rock. I actually don't know what to do with metal, so we will skip that really quick. What emoji would work for metal? Twice. Oh, okay. Apparently pulling up the emoji menu lags my PC. Thank you, Windows. So cool. Gonna cry. Okay. Okay, let me look for metal. Gold? Gold also would fall under metal. I guess we could use a coin. Money. Okay, cool. I guess we should frame it differently then. So each elemental divination has different goals and different ways to accomplish said goal and casting the spells. So wood divination is talking to plants to get local information from them. If anything, we can say that wood divination would be the most diverse way to get information, but at the cost of apparently because Citrona pitched this idea that different trees are less trustworthy. And I don't know if we should start noting down which trees are less trustworthy, but this would be the time to note this in our quote unquote journal. For water, it's like detecting individual substances and materials, but is there anything else we would do with water in that regard? Should we be able to make the water move through spells? Hydrokinesis? Or should that not happen? Because then that would be the immediate thing we would target for abusing the magic system and making spells to hurt people. Hmm. Is this another Minecraft track? Or is it just paused again? Oh, no, it hit the end of the playlist. Okay, because it's 3 hours, 15 minutes of playlist. Okay. I forgot to put repeat on it. Okay, I understand. Um, Here, I have like a lot of playlists. In case y'all didn't know. We have the brand name drops playlist, the computer world playlist, directions and directions playlist, the Halloween playlist, my club music playlist, K-pop debut songs, let's spell it out, mermaids and glitter, songs that have pronouns in the song title, old Mimi songs from like pre-Undertale, um, songs about cars and driving, songs about food, and songs with animals in the title. If any of those caught your ear, tell me now so you can claim first dibs on selecting the next playlist I will put on while we wrap up stream and think of more things to write. um, Please and thank you. Otherwise, I am going to randomly select the spelling playlist, maybe. Also, congrats on your Schwatch streak. The second to last one is the weird. It's called Weird Cafeteria Vibes. So that's any song that has some sort of food item in the food or drink, I think, in the song title. So that would be the Gummy Bear song, which apparently is not available on YouTube Music anymore, at least for me. Um, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. You're interested in this? Okay, food playlist it is. We're starting off with Lollipop by 21 featuring Big Bang. I think this is everything that's like food related. So there's also like eating and like tastes. So enjoy while I think about this. You think you still remember the choreo for this? Oh my god. Random play dance. Let's go. RPD right now. Ugh. I think so we might take out spell names because I think it might be that there are different divination types, but there probably aren't like that many spells. Have I thought about moving over to Obsidian? I think I've looked at Obsidian once or twice before, or Ellipsis. I have seen like other like things for that sort of thing, and I honestly, it probably would be nicer and better for me than using like Google Docs. I think it's just the biggest roadblock is just I have to just use it really. Since GDocs is pro AI, was it? I thought they said at some point or they clarified that they don't actually, or at least aren't. Oh, I could be wrong. If the scraping thing is they scraping, if they are lying about that, then it probably would be better for me to port things over to not Google Docs. Yeah, I have not. I think I've looked at Obsidian, but not. Hold on, give me a moment. Ellipsis is easy to import into if it makes me feel better. Oh, I searched up Obsidian, went into images, and got not. It showed me the software on the main results, and then images showed me. Because I wanted to look at screenshots of Obsidian. I think if it functions like a wiki, whatever functions kind of like a wiki, I think would be best for me because then I do like wikis and also the idea of being able to go to like relevant pages in it, like a wiki. Hello, young posse. I have seen Obsidian. Obsidian is also rock, also a character in Steven Universe. Okay, okay. Out of curiosity, do you find it necessary? Do you find it restricting that being able to sync across devices is paywalled? Just trying to cover all of my bases and things I'm noticing here. Wow, Ellipsis has an interesting logo. I think Obsidian would be better for this then. Okay, I'll have to tack this on. I guess, yeah, I guess if they actually still are scraping, then I have been misinformed and I thought. Because I remember someone told me about it, so I tried to look into it. But I guess I grabbed the wrong conclusion from my quick research into it. So I'll note this down, since we'll be doing more of these world building streams especially. Sorry, that specific part of the verse for this song, I don't listen to Young Posse much at all now, but we're going back because this melody right here, not here. I need to do a little music theory analysis to figure out why that sticks in my brain, but I think I might know why, but I'm like, oh, this scratches my brain. Okay, so let me add switch over to Obsidian for world building, writing, and whatnot. Okie dokes. Thank you for updating me on that. I appreciate it. You actually use OneDrive as your main save area. You do want to be able to pay for Obsidian someday because expansion of sync and online publishing is something you're interested in, and you want to support the dev of Obsidian. Yeah, I get that for sure. I think, therefore I am. Okay. Very cool. Okay. We'll have to do that before next week. So we should be fine. You just don't want my world building to get scraped because I worked very hard on it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Both of my world buildings. Okay, let's see. Honestly, we are approaching 2 a.m. and I should probably go to sleep before I stay up too late. And then that way I can just take time right after stream to just download Obsidian and then have it at least so I can eventually start fiddling with it. And then go to bed because it's still the middle of a work week. But in the meantime, just because any how do I word this? Just because it'll be any time frame outside of the world building community world building streams does not mean, sorry, I was like, what am I trying to say? Does not mean that you should shy away from suggesting world building, because this is VTuber lore world building, which means if there are aspects that we want to add into this that y'all would like to make these liminal spaces feel alive, you should suggest. I don't think we'll add it just, or we'll get there just yet, but there are things on fauna, flora, and fantasies. So most of these will be ported over. We have mandrakes, we have dust bunnies, cockatrices, little bellhoppers that come alive, um, literal falling stars, bubbles that literally trap you, things like that. Do you have anything that you want to suggest? Because we're trying to compile like a world building that we can all contribute to together. We should do that. You should do that. You should make the what are the self-proclaimed rabbits? What does that mean? If I need help, hit you up. You're Kero Kero VV on everything. Thank you, Kero Kero VV. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. So let me do that. There we go. Just make sure I'm following you back. You're working on getting your home lab network set up. You're thinking of creating a file server as well as a media server. I see. I know my work has talked about doing that sort of thing also before, instead of relying on like cloud services since we handle a lot of projects and whatnot. Unfortunately, I know I don't know anything about that sort of thing, so I'm very not savvy with some of these sort of things, but sounds cool. Question mark? The sentient origami rabbits in your dream? Citrona, why don't you create a spell? Figure out a spell for like origami animals. Since paper is created from trees, you could argue that wood element divination spells might work with origami. So I'm going to leave it to you to write something up on that. Contribute to the world building, make it your own. It could be your signature divination spell in this world building. I do remember you talking about it though, just very vaguely though. I might have to look in like soup or something. There's some microplastics element. Um, depends on if you count it as under earth or metal. So your choice. Is this milk by Jack Stauber? Right, okay. Anyway, I'm gonna actually jump us back over here while we wrap up. That doesn't sound right. Plastic comes for trees except for when it doesn't. But I think we need to get that quoted. You were thinking of rubber? Hmm. I see. Well, in any case, you feel I don't know what we should do for like earth and metal in regards to divination. In regards to if it should be like distinct from the other divination types or get similar information like the other ones do. Or I know we haven't touched on anything that's well, protection. Maybe protection related. Like a stone, like I know I talked about liminal chalk before, and you would be able to use that to kind of draw doorways, and then actually watch Pan's Labyrinth like a year or two later, finally. Because you would use the chalk to like come back to liminal space manually if you ever like left and you wanted to come back for whatever reason. So in the same vein, I'm wondering if we could also use Earth divination in a way to make like there'd be a stone or something that like stabilizes the liminal energy around you to kind of like prevent you from like accidentally stumbling into a different liminal space and kind of prevent rifts from like spawning near you. Important update, your snap streak with Chris just hit. What is Jerma's number? 935. 980. I was off by 50. 50 is a good number. Yay. Anyways, I'm gonna do an outro now so I don't get too carried away. But thank you everyone for chilling with us. I hope you've enjoyed your time here in liminal space. I will say it has been weird because we're technically metaphysically changing the liminal space because we're working on world building. But anyway, if you don't follow and would like to follow, maybe you should do that if you want to check out our vibes more often. If you want to hang out with us on like Discord or talk to us or see our stream schedules, there are two Discord servers. That first one is the personal one for this Twitch community by itself. Second one is for the stream team I have with Bones, Citrona, and Mika, so it's a more cohesive one. I do post my schedules there too. I would. What is playing right now? Oh, it's Gum by Yeonjin. um, I do advocate more for scaling, but that's just because we're all cool people and that's where my focus tends to be going as of late. But if you want more detailed schedules, then the personal one is usually where you should go. Um, Also, Linktree for art and music. Of course, I'm on Blue Sky, Tumblr, Instagram. Same handle. And make sure to explore and get your stamp. Also, hi Mika. What the hell? So I'm pretty sure I can like. Okay, JK. I can harvest this and then plant this, and then I'm gonna sell 2 of my lettuce. Hehe. In case y'all haven't seen that. It's been like 2 years, I think, since I've even made the explore thing. Hehe. Anyway, thank you everyone for working with us and listening to us blabber about like world building stuff. Wait, let me save this diagram that I made or update it. Hopefully by next stream, we should be ported over to Obsidian for safety reasons, and maybe we'll share some of the passion project world building progress that we've made. It won't be the focus for this month, obviously, because that's passion project stuff, but if y'all want sneak peeks, we can maybe do that. But for now, let me see if there's anyone to rate on Twitch. I think the answer would be yes, but your favorite liminal space is play place 2. The kind that end in an isolated room above everything. Interesting. Actually, sure. I have a target for my raid. Oh, this game. I was literally okay. We're gonna go raid. Uh, my bitch. I'm just kidding. We're gonna raid white. My lovely. Trying to word this in the most slightly hinted way possible, even though I think most people know at this point. We're whatever. We're rating my partner white. He's actually currently streaming Dispatch. I actually only really know about Dispatch because of Sonar, the bat anthro dude, and bats. Anyway, obviously your best friend, like Chris. I'm rating my very, very best friend white. Yeah, he's playing Dispatch. So if you've been wanting to check out Dispatch and you maybe don't want spoilers or whatever, I don't really know much about the game other than the characters. Please be mindful of spoilers and stuff. I don't think I have a specific raid message for him. No, because I'm a loser. I keep saying I need to do that, and it's been like a year, I think, of me not adding new raid messages. I can't do rhymes right now. I'll figure it out later. um, unless I can think of it right now. Hold on. A lichen red. All beware. In his it is magic tower. We have hold on. Rhymezone.org come to me. Beware tear. Rhymezone has been blocked by my ISP. Oh, I typed it in wrong, that's why. Thank you, ISP, actually. um a lich dressed in red. All should beware. In his magic tower, we shall now. Usually I try to make all the raid messages have so usually some of the common themes are like related to us coming from liminal space. Um I don't remember anything else. I think that was mainly it. But anything that's relevant to the streamer usually works for like a custom raid message. Um a lich dressed in red, all should beware. To his magic tower, we should now something that rhymes with beware. But it's like a verb for like going somewhere. What's that square? No. Welfare. Swimwear. Malware. Aftercare. Billionaire. Prepare. So maybe instead of magic tower. So anything that hints at the whole liminal space theme works. So anything that's using words like beyond our knowledge, beyond this space, that sort of thing. So we could say like spells. A lich dressed in red, all should beware. Or spells. Or spells. From beyond, we must prepare. We have prepared. How does this look? Yes, cool, awesome. VV likes it. Awesome, cool. I'm thinking of the second line though. I'm thinking proofreading, revising. It's fine. Okay. Okay, add the sub emote. I'm gonna use the gremlin emote. If you don't have a subscription, what you can do is go into power up rewards and choose an emote to unlock for 80 channel points. That is the minimum I think that Twitch allows me to set unless they updated that recently. But you can choose one of my Twitch tier 1 sub emotes to use across Twitch for like 24 hours. Yeah, thank you everyone for chilling with us. Honestly, this is really fun. I was honestly unsure as to how I was gonna like start doing this. Because I was like, wait a minute, how am I going to do any world building if it was like writing or art? But honestly, I didn't expect that I'd be making the magic system, but honestly, making the magic system I feel like is pretty fun because then I can kind of like be silly and have fun with it. Anyway, thank you all. I appreciate you all. Thank you to Sin, Celeste, and Nikki for the raids. I appreciate it. And thank you to Magic, Citrona, Michaela, Fish, Quinn, Chimpy, Milo, Arson, Roseblood, Antichrist, Strawberry Luna, Sin, Blue, Justice John, Barrer, Voidism, Yakisho, Esper, Redstone, Nikki, Vivi, and Mika. Anyone else that maybe didn't make their presence known or only made their presence known through point rewards because my bot doesn't catch that. Snooze. But yes, it is lights out, especially because it is nighttime for me. So everyone have a good night or day if it's not nighttime for you. Make sure to have a good night and sleep well or rest well if it's not nighttime again for you. And I'll see you all on Saturday for gaming. I will be able to let y'all know that I do plan to continue Mega Man Battle Network 3, my favorite Battle Network game. So we can finish that and continue with my gaming queue. Yes, take care, everyone. Thank you all for joining me for world building writing. Thank you, Vivi, also for letting me know about that Google Docs does indeed still suck, and for letting me know about Obsidian. Anyway, bye, 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 bye. Love you all.